TikTok instead of YouTube this time because the first couple minutes would have been just completely dead air. All right, somebody asked me a travel question. Let's do this, or maybe I'll just start. Maybe I'll just start riffing. I've been relying way too much on your guys' questions. Some of your questions suck. Half the time, people are just asking me like, "Oh, should I go to Medellin?" And it's just like, yeah, like obviously you should not be going to Medellin. I've answered that question 1,000 times. I don't feel like answering that question. So, um, yeah, I guess like let's talk about Hongdae. Like, can somebody let's is anybody okay talking about Hongdae? Because like when I went to Korea, every single person told me that I needed to stay in Hongdae. Every single person was like, "You need to stay in Hongdae." And then I went to Hongdae and it sucked. Like literally, Hongdae is one of the worst areas that I've ever been to in my entire life. If I had if I had gotten an Airbnb in Hongdae, I would have hated Korea. So, but anyway, that's my Hongdae rant. Does anyone have any other questions? Any other stuff that people want to talk about? Yo, Colombian Odyssey, how's it going? Ooh, I was actually gonna call you before this live. We need to talk about something tomorrow. It's not good news or bad news. It's just an overall thoughts that I have. I have some strategies. Oh, I need to start soft launching this. So next week on Wednesday, we have a big announcement. That's the soft launch. Next week on Sunday, we have a big announcement. I mean, next week on Wednesday, we have a big announcement. So be ready. Watch this space for a big announcement. We also are going to have the announcement on our live on Tuesday. So there's be a live Tuesday where we're making an announcement, and then I'll be putting it on all my channels on Wednesday. My boy Paul, my boy Blue, yo, is that an old school reference? Because if it is, so when I was in India, there was a cat that lived that like lived in the building I was staying at. It was like a stray cat, and he was red, but like he was my boy, so I called him Blue. For people who are like under 30, I guess you've never seen the movie, but old school, there was a there was an old guy named Blue, and he died, and the famous line is like, "You're my boy, Blue," and that's how I felt about this cat. So, I'm gonna pull up this cat's picture right now. He was like he was a real cutie pie. He was a cutie patootie. Anyway, how is Cordoba, Argentina? Cordoba, Argentina is a great place. I've been to Bali, Thailand, met Ian. Who did you? Oh, and Medellin too. Um, where should you go? Um, so like if you've been to Bali, if you've been to Thailand, if you've been to Medellin, like those are three good starter locations. Well, first of all, like the answer is always you should go to the Cartagena group trip. That's obviously always the answer. But for you, what I would say is that like you need to start going to cooler places. By the way, this is Blue. This is my boy Blue. He was a stray cat. He lived near me in India. I always gave him some food. Love that cat. Anyway, you need to start going to cool places. If you have been to Bali, Medellin, and Thailand, you have been to way too many beginner locations. And that's fine. Three times to beginner locations is okay. Um, but you know, you need to start going to cool places. Okay, so here are some examples of some cool places. First of all, I mean, like Rio de Janeiro, obviously, is a place everyone should go to. But like, you need to go to somewhere like Santiago, Chile, or even I'm in Santa Cruz, Bolivia. Santa Cruz, Bolivia kind of sucks, but you need to go to like Mendoza, Argentina now. You know what I mean? You need to go to like Bariloche. You need to go to Malaysia. And not even Kuala Lumpur even. You need to go to like, one of the beaches in Malaysia. That's that's where you need to go. After 3 beginner trips, I give everybody 3 beginner trips because that's how many beginner trips I had. After 3 beginner trips, you need to start going to cool places. You're like, look, I've been to Thailand, I've been to Bali, I've had the beginner experience. I need to start going to cool places. So that's where you should go. I would book a trip to Mendoza, Argentina, or to Bariloche. You got a girl? Yes, I'm married, actually. Paulie, would you ever go back to India? I would. I had an account today telling me I should be banned from entering India, which I thought was funny. I would. I would just say this: like, I'm a big believer, and this will let down some of my fans if I go to India. I do not believe in shitting on locations when you're there. As much as I believe, like I believe very strongly in telling the truth. I think that's why people fuck with my content. To be honest, is because I'm the type of person who just says it how it is. I don't give you this sort of type of like travel slop. I actually just started posting on my Twitter, and now I'm getting all these travel slop accounts, and I'm like, this sucks. This is such. I now I understand why people like my content so much because all of this travel content I'm looking at on Twitter is just slop. It's just like, here are the 5 places. It's just like, it's just horrible, right? Anyway, I think that's why people like me is because I'm the type of person who keeps it real, right? But at the same time, I believe in manners. Manners are very important to me. Being polite being a good guest is very important to me, right? So like I'm the type of person like, you know, if I think you're a piece of shit, I'm gonna say I think you're a piece of shit, right? I'm gonna say on my TikTok, I think you're a piece of shit, right? But like I'm not gonna come up to you in a public location and start a fight with you. You know what I mean? And some people call that being a pussy. Some people are like, oh, you say this stuff online, but you say it in my face. It's like if you confront me about what I say to you, I will bring it up. But I believe in a sense of decorum and a sense of proprietorship amongst yourselves. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be jumping into random fights, especially if I think you're a piece of shit and you invited me over to your house for dinner to talk about our differences. If you start yelling at me, I'll yell back. But I'm not going to go into your dinner at your house and just start screaming at you. That's rude, right? The same way with India, like I'm not in India right now. I'm giving you an objective look as to my experiences in this country, right? I think that's fine. Yo, we back. But like if I were to go to India while I'm in India, I would not shit on India at all. You know what I mean? I would wait until I leave and then give the opinion on India. If you just asked me about India when I was in India, I'd be like I can't comment on it. Anyway, why do you not advise going to Europe? So I literally like posted a Substack about this today. And literally the reason why I made this video today was to get people to look at my Substack. I'm trying to grow my other social media channels. Some people get mad at me about this. They're like, "Oh, why did you?" I'm just like, dude, like I'm trying to grow my stuff. I'm trying to turn this into a thing that I can actually do for a living. Chill out. So I'm not going to answer my Europe question today because I literally the reason why I did that is to get you guys to read the article. So I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna just like tell you the stuff. Um, Maybe people should think about traveling to be productive rather than just farting around. What do you mean travel to be productive? When did you travel to all these places, man? Dude, I am traveling. I'm a digital nomad. Feels like you've been everywhere. Why haven't you settled down if you know where to find Latino wifeys? I have settled down. I'm married. Um, India sucks, but I'm not gonna go into a whole India fight. You do keep a G. I try to, bro. Like, um, let me get it moving on, bro. Like, I'll talk about whatever I want, bro. I do find it funny when I'm in the middle of a rant and somebody types in move on from this, and it's just like I'm not going to see you telling me to move on from my rant until I'm done with the rant. That's how these rants work. I've lived and worked in 6 countries, had a real job, and traveled over 50 as part of doing work. Didn't just f around. But what does it mean to like travel as a part of doing work? Like what is it? What does that mean? What does that even mean? Like you're working abroad? How is like how is um how is like that better than just like being a digital nomad and just chilling in these places? I swear, some people get on like the weirdest moral high grounds towards other people. Some people get on the weirdest moral high grounds to other people. I get Pokemon travelers who who like think that they're better than other people because, they've been to 50 countries, but you haven't really been to 50 countries. Most likely you've spent like 3 days in like 40 of those countries, which isn't really visiting a country, right? But I get that. I just don't understand what you mean by like farting around versus doing work. Is travel only useful if you work for a multinational consulting firm that forces you to go to different countries? And like, how is that better? Anyway, Paul, is it the hygiene that you didn't like about India? Definitely the hygiene is a big part of it. I think that like Paulie, I'm an overweight virgin. What city's best for me to find love? If you're an overweight virgin, you probably want to go to like what you should do is you should go to somewhere like Medellin and just pay for it. Like honestly, Paul, you're taking an internet troll too seriously. Don't let your cortisol strike. I just want to say like I don't I honestly hate all this cortisol spiking shit, and I don't care for it. And if people keep on saying cortisol spike bullshit, I'm gonna just block you. First of all, clavicular, the looks maxing guy who started all this cortisol strike thing, you realize that guy is like not straight, right? Like the guy's a total like men get angry. Men are passionate about things, right? Cortisol spikes for a reason in people, right? Like, like Gen Z is so fucking cooked. The fact that you guys look up to this dude and you're like, oh, like you shouldn't let your cortisol spike. No, men get angry. Men get angry. And by the way, like I find it funny because like literally like the thing that makes good content is people getting angry and getting passionate about stuff. If I were to just sit here, chill as a cucumber, no, I do know that, bro. Dude, this guy puts makeup on his face. Come on. It's such a backwards world where like all of the like it's now right wing coded. It's now right wing coded to put makeup on your face. You know what I mean? It's now right wing coded to put makeup on your face to get plastic surgery as a dude. It's not deep, my guy. Just focus on you. I'll focus on whatever I want, dude. This is my fucking live. If you're mad about what I'm focusing on, get off my live. How about that? Um. Anyway, thoughts on the black pill movement. So I would say that I'm like in terms of like pills and stuff, like I'm pretty black pilled on the United States, but I'm not a black pill in general, if that makes sense. Like my me being black pilled on the United States, like the result of that is I think that people should leave the United States and find a better life somewhere else. Right? So like that's kind of my general consensus. Cortisol strikes are good content. That's the thing I find so hilarious. Is like the best content is people spiking cortisol. I'm here to entertain people. I'm not here to answer the same bullshit question about Thailand 10,000 times. The people who go on these lives come to watch my cortisol get spiked. Stick to what you have intelligence on. Stick to go fucking yourself, bro. Anyway, I'm living here in Mexico. Nice, dude. How is Mexico? Heading to Bali and Vietnam on February 3rd for a few months. Thanks for being inspiration. Yeah, dude, 100%. Dude, you're gonna love Vietnam. You're gonna love Bali too. People like people should. I've said this so many times, but I'm gonna say it again. People shit on Bali, and there's a good reason why people shit on Bali. Um, but like at the same time, it's completely justified. This guy should go 2, 3 years to Dagestan and forget, dude. 100%, bro. How are you putting? How are you putting like makeup on, bro? Oh, the guy cry. I'm already over him. I haven't really, you know. Bali's so dope. What does Megxit mean? How do I? I'm in a small town like 30 hours north of Cabo. Highly recommend. I feel like if you are like 30 hours north of Cabo, I feel like that's not really like near Cabo. You know what I mean? Like 30 hours north of Cabo, I'm pretty sure there's another city that's closer to you. Like if I was 30 hours away from New York City, that's like Chicago. Anyway, Megxit. We'll talk about Megxit later. I appreciate this live. I appreciate you, dude, bro. I appreciate you. We're having fun. We're spiking cortisol left and right. I'm pro spiking cortisol. Let's just say that. How to make enough money to travel as much as you. That's one of the biggest misconceptions is that you don't have to make a lot of money to travel. In fact, traveling abroad as a digital nomad is cheaper than living in the United States, right? The question is not how can you make enough money to travel as much as I do. The question is how can you start making money remotely in order to travel like I do? Because literally, you can live in most of these cities that we're talking about. You can live there for like a month, 2 months more. You can live there, pretty comfortably for like 3K a month, right? So that's the question. I'm a 12-hour flight south of Virginia. 30 minutes, chat. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot more sense. Does it mean Mexicans should exit the US? I mean, I don't really care. 30 hours doesn't count. 30 minutes. No, that's funny. I'm not answering your serious questions after this cortisol bullshit. Where's my wife with her boyfriend? I find that funny because like the funny thing about Latinas, especially when you marry them, and John Calvin, you can attest to this, is that like they literally orient their entire lives around you. So like one of the reasons why women cheat in the United States is because they have like this entire other life that has nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? They have this group of friends, they go out with them, they entire universe that you're not a part of, right? And so it's easy when you have two lives to find somebody else that you're married that you're attracted to in that other life, especially when inevitably, as it always happens in relationships, you have problems in your relationship. Every relationship in the history of the world has had problems. Nobody has never had problems, right? And so that's the thing that really gets women to cheat, right? Is the fact that they're going to work, that they have all this other stuff, and then you screw up, and then they sleep with somebody else, right? The nice thing about Latinas, the nice thing about a traditional relationship is that, like, I mean, the problem with it is that my wife wants too much of my time. For people who have been in my lives can attest to this. My wife will now barge in like once every other live and like try to get me to talk to her about some shit. Because me being away from her for 3 hours, she's just like, what the fuck do I do when he has a live for 3 hours? That's the problem in our relationship. Is me not giving her not is her wanting too much time, right? But that also protects you against cheating. Because it's like, I promise you my wife is not cheating on me. It would be one of the most incredible what most like if my wife was cheating on me, it would be so impressive that I would have no choice but to accept it. You know what I mean? I would have no choice but to like clap for my wife if she was cheating on me. Because for her to cheat on me, it would be like I fall asleep at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. She is asleep when I fall asleep. She is asleep when I wake up. She would have to wake up in the middle of the night, leave the apartment, go find somebody, sleep with them, and come back. It's not happening. Also, me and my wife share a phone. Honestly, like my wife forgot her phone in Poland, and we just decided to just not have two phones anymore. It just what just didn't make sense. We're just like we ended up spending. We realized we're spending all this time together, just both of us on our phone, and it was like it doesn't make sense. So yeah, there's no way my wife is cheating on me. And again, if she was, I would applaud her if she was. Anyway, um, it's necessary. No, dude, I'm not saying it's necessary to do this, and I'm not doing this out of like, a. Have you checked her phone? I mean, she doesn't have one. My ex didn't cheat with another man. She had a lot of exes. Um, getting divorced, so she joined. By the way, Danny Lee is this Danny Lee the one that I know, or is this some other Danny Lee? Um, yeah, so that's another big problem that I think is worth talking about. So CVR says my ex didn't cheat with another man. She had a lot of girlfriends getting divorced, so she joined. Is that the overall culture in the United States is so incentivized to get to break up relationships, right? All of your girl, like all of the media, all of the movies, all of the TV that she's watching is about women cheating, women like being unhappy with relationships. The podcasts she's listening to are about that type of stuff. All of the celebrities she's following are like 5 times divorced, right? And the thing is, like, actually, desire is a little bit mimetic. Desire isn't 100% mimetic, it is a little bit mimetic. And if you are living in a society where all of the people you're taught to look up to are getting divorced, then it's going to push you towards getting divorced. One of the beautiful things about Latinas, but I'm talking about traditional Latinas, is that like their best friends are their family, right? My wife's best friend is her mom. Her other best friends are her sisters and her brothers, right? And so it's like all of those people are married or are going to be married, right? And all of their advice is about how to stay married and how to be happily married, right? And that support structure helps your relationship, right? You don't have a relationship in a vacuum. And you need to realize that you have all of these things that like may not be consciously conspiring to destroy a relationship. Like maybe I have like tin hat syndrome and maybe I'm being conspiracy theorist, but like if they weren't consciously trying to destroy your relationship, that at the very least is the effect of these, right? She has no phone, no friends, and can't leave the house alone. Lol. Here's the thing, man. Like you're talking about it like as if like an abusive relationship with her. But like these are all her choices. This is how she wants to have a relationship. Like Latinas have this attitude of this is my man, this is my family. I am 100% committed to him and to this, right? Like why would I be going out drinking with my friends? Like we're having a family together. This is my world. This is my life, right? And by the way, like I have friends who thinks that my wife is being very toxic with me, right? Like I don't go out without her, right? But that's just I have a boyfriend I still go out. Yeah, but you're an you're an Argentinian Latina. I'm pretty sure you live in Buenos Aires. Do you live in Buenos Aires? Her best friend is your mom is green flag. Exactly. You live in Buenos Aires. That's the end of the conversation. You live in Buenos Aires. The she would do it behind her back, bro. But by the way, like this whole like she doesn't have her own phone. I actually just had an argument with her today, and by the way, Colombian Odyssey got me in trouble. Yo, Colombian Odyssey, I'm gonna put you on blast right now. Colombian Odyssey keeps on sending me these pictures, and my wife gets super pissed about it, and she was just screaming at me for like 30 minutes about it. So I'm sorry to put you on blast, bro, but you can't send me those pictures anymore. Like she's gonna either kill me, divorce me, or kill you. It's gonna be one of those three. No, dude, it's chill. She's crazy. She's loco. Um, I'm done with Western women. Been married twice is not for me. 100%, dude. Have you ever checked your phone? The funny thing is that London is calling pictures of what you don't have to. I'll get you my number. You can send it to me instead of Paulie. Um, the person from Buenos Aires is quiet now, dude. I mean, here's the thing, right? About Argentina, right? And this is more true about Argentina than like pretty much every other country in Latin America. I would say is that like Argentina is really divided between Buenos Aires and the rest of Argentina. You know what I mean? And like Buenos Aires is kind of a different country than the rest of Argentina. You know what I mean? So like if you say I'm an Argentinian, I always have to ask where you're from because it's like it really impacts how you view things. Buenos Aires is as liberal as you know, um, that's what I wanted to call. Got it. No, no, no. And actually, to call something else, but you know, that too. Actually, how'd you start my international travel? I've been traveling my whole life. My parents were born in Poland, so as a kid, I would go to Poland, with my to stay with my grandparents because my parents didn't want to see me because I was annoying. And so I spent a lot of time. I spent like years of my life in Poland. Yeah, moving po Polsku. Not that good anymore because I don't really practice it that much. And then, like literally, my entire life, I had wanted to take a trip around the world, starting to when I was 12, and then I just never did. In my 20s, I went on a few big trips. I went to Thailand. I went to Colombia. I went to Costa Rica. And I always like wanted to do that more, and I just didn't because I was in a corporate world. It's funny how much life has shifted. Like, I think COVID really changed the world in fundamental ways. Where like nowadays, being a digital nomad is a very normal thing to do. Right back in 2015, it was like you were like a weirdo for doing it. It was like you need to climb the corporate ladder, right? And so, I mean, maybe people there still feel that way. Maybe I just changed my environment, and that's why I think it's normal now. Um, but yeah, so I did that, and then I kind of had a little bit of a breakdown. I quit my tech job, and I moved to Los Angeles to try to become a screenwriter for 3 years. That didn't work out. I quit my sales job. I waited tables for like 2.5 years because I wanted to like prove to myself that I was like really genuine about this. I was also just so sick of the bullshit of software sales. Um, there was a um, there's this book called Spin Selling about sales, and in it, the guy says, has a joke. He's like, "What's the difference between a used car salesman and a software salesman? The used car salesman knows that he's full of shit." Um, anyway, so I did that, and then after 2.5 years, I was like, "Look, I gave this my best go. I wasn't successful. Whatever. Time to go." So I started my own like agency, my own outbound agency, and then I was living in Los Angeles, and I was miserable. And Los Angeles is very expensive. It's a shitty city. I was doing my own agency, work from home. When I was waiting tables, I wasn't really being very social because I was just like focused on trying to become a writer, and I was just like not very happy. And then I was just like, I'd always wanted to take this trip around the world. And I was like, I'm working from home. I could just as easily work from Colombia or work from Brazil or work from Thailand. I also like, I gained a lot of weight since I was in software sales. I still haven't lost it. Like back when I was in software sales, I was like working out like 2 hours a day, benching 275, like really in good shape, making a lot of money. That wasn't the case when I was like waiting tables. I let myself go because I was like just focused on being a writer. And so, I was just like, I wasn't getting put, I didn't got a lot of pussy, obviously, big broken fat in LA. You're not getting a lot of pussy. And so that was another thing that kind of pushed me. And that's honestly one of the reasons why on this channel I do talk about getting women abroad so much is because and a lot of times it's the thing that really pushes you to do it. You know what I mean? Like you have all these ideas about it being cheaper and being nicer, but all these are like really like nice to haves. The real like visceral thing that motivates you as a man is clapping some cheeks. And so knowing that as somebody who like went from a place where I was getting a ton of women back when I was working in software sales to not a lot, and having that being one of the motivating things for me to go travel abroad was like, okay, let me like try to position it this way. So anyway, I spent a year traveling around the world. I went to a bunch of different countries. I spent a month in most countries, spent a week in a couple of others. And then at the end of it, I was just like, why the fuck would I ever go back home? And then so I just kept on traveling. So that's kind of my story. Um, Let me see. Uh, if you were in better shape and better groomed, you put hotter women regardless of country. Bro, I just told you that I was pulling hot women in San Francisco, making a lot of money and being in good shape. I was still miserable. So I don't really give a shit what you have to say. Archive Seth group trip. Yo. Anyway. Yeah. I'm talking to a girl from rural Argentina. She says, but there is a huge culture difference. That is true. Brazil is a different world from Brazil. Um Paulie race mixed because he's obese. What are you talking about, bro? All this race missing stuff is so weird, bro. All this race mixing stuff is so better. It's so weird. You feeling better now? Yeah, dude, I feel much happier in life, honestly. If you're a 21-year-old college guy looking to have fun, what would be the first country you'd hit? I would go on the Cartagena group trip, bro. I would go on the Cartagena group trip. Would you recommend Brazil as my fourth trip? Yeah, dude, go to Rio de Janeiro. It's not that it's easier to meet girls outside of the US. I mean, it is. It's that the quality of women are better outside the United States. Right? Like that's and the entire way that people approach dating is better outside the United States. You know what I mean? So like, you know, um I would say there's people with no game think a passport will change their life. You have to do the work on your first. No, that's not actually true. That's I want to push back on this. So this guy says, I'm saying there's people with no game thinking a passport will change your life. You have to do the work on you first. I disagree with that. Here's why. Because there are a lot of people who are like so far away from living the life that they want to live, right? That it's kind of impossible for them to motivate themselves. You know what I mean? So like if you are very obese and you're not making any money, right? You are very far away from pulling hot women. That is months, if not years away from you of pulling like dimes in the United States. It just is, right? You have to lose a lot of weight, which takes a lot of time. I've gained and lost weight a lot of times in my life. Like it takes a lot of time, right? And then on top of that, you have to start making a lot of money because even being really hot, girls in the United States, especially in major cities, want guys with a lot of money, right? And so it's very hard to motivate somebody to a goal that is 12 months away, right? To wake up every morning for something that's 12 months away, right? And that's why I recommend people become passport bros, right? Because if you go abroad and you are, yeah, maybe you're paying for it, but like dating in the United States is basically prostitution anyway. It's really not that different. I'm gonna be honest with you. It really isn't that different. I've dated in the United States, I've dated abroad, I've dated in pay for play. It's really similar, to be honest, right? But what happens is those guys start to rack up a lot of wins. They start to feel better about themselves. Now you're like, should I go work out? Well, I tried to have sex yesterday and I was winded after 5 minutes. So yeah, I'm gonna go for a jog. You know what I mean? And that's the type of stuff that motivates people. It's like, oh, like here's the thing: if you're sitting in your room eating Cheetos every single day, not doing shit with your life, it's like, what does making $150,000 mean to you? What does making $200,000 mean to you? It's such an abstract concept. If you're spending all of your time playing Fortnite or gambling on sports, what does that extra money really mean to you? There's nothing tangible to it, right? But if you go abroad and you start traveling, right? You start going to the beaches, you start meeting people, and you start doing activities that are making you happy. And then the difference between being pretty happy with an activity and very happy, there's an actual dollar tangible difference that you can see. It's like, I want to go rent a speedboat. I can't do that because I don't have enough money. That then motivates you to go work and go earn some more money, right? So the thing about I think one of the big problems that we have in the United States with men who get into these pits of depression that they can't get out of is that the end goal is too far for them to see. It's not tangible enough, right? So if you move abroad, it makes it more tangible. You take smaller steps. And even so, I would make it even an extra argument, which is that like being a mid guy in Latin America is better than being an alpha male in the United States. I've done both. It's better. I'm sorry. It just is. So um okay, so how old am I? 34. Anyway, let me see. Exactly, it's Chris. I'm trying to answer all of the lives. I'm on 3 lives at the same time. I'm trying to build out my Twitch and I'm trying to build up my YouTube at the same time. So we're answering different questions, but TikTok is still my main one. Yo, is Alaska Native on right now? Yo, I love Alaska Native. There's a follower on Twitch named Alaska Native who's always watching my shit. Anyway, I've been a hot guy before. American girls still don't approach you. Yeah. Let me see. Let me see. I'm trying to think of a good comment to go on a rant on. Trying to think of a good rant topic. We've had some good rants so far, I feel. Paul, what do you think? Oh, um, I'm not interested in the. I'm not interested in these like Cartagena arguments. Like, here's the thing, man. If you don't like Cartagena, okay. Other people like Cartagena. People have different opinions on travel. It's so weird. People are like, I can't like you sold out. You're talking about Cartagena. It's like, no, I think it's a good city. Some people don't. We have a difference of opinion about that. That's life. You disagree with people about stuff. You know, Do you think there's an age limit to being a passport bro? No, not really. Going to Barranquilla for the Carnival, nice. I'm going to Argentina. I'm not answering that question, Noah Hernandez. Best Muslim country for wife. I'm not I'm a Christian man. I don't, I had somebody sign up for a paid consultation, and if people want to sign up for a paid consultation, you're obviously always like welcome to do that. But I had someone sign up for a paid consultation, and the guy's Muslim, right? And he said like, "Hey, I'm looking for a Muslim wife. Can you like help me out?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll help you out. You paid for a consultation. I'm going to give you the advice that you paid for." But you know, for the free advice, my answer, if you're asking what you should do to find a Muslim wife, my answer is to become Christian and then look for a Christian wife. So, that's my answer for you. I'm not, again, you're free to pay the consultation fee and have me research it and like give you a good answer. But, you know, best country for a virgin wife. Please say more about your experience with women in Marrakesh. Tips, dude. Women in Marrakesh are insanely hot. A lot of people think that women in Morocco are very like brown and dark skinned, and obviously there are, but like Morocco, like you know, I here's kind of a general take that I'm going to say. I think people, it's hard to really conceptualize how close some places are to each other. You know what I mean? Like I've found this, happens a lot. Like with but I sorry YouTube people. I found that if I share too many if I share screens on multiple lives, it like screws up. So I'm only going to share this on the TikTok, but you're free to just look it up for yourself, right? Like I found one thing that happens a lot is that it's hard for people to really conceptualize like how close or how far certain areas are from each other. Like, for example, a lot of people think like Brazil and Mexico are basically the same country, right? But you look at a map, Brazil and Mexico are really fucking far from each other. They're on like the other sides of the world. You know what I mean? And like the parts of Brazil that you think of as Brazil, you know what I mean? Like Rio de Janeiro, and the parts of Mexico that you think of as Mexico, Tijuana, Mexico City, Guadalajara are even farther apart from each other, right? But it also happens the opposite direction. For example, like I think a lot of people don't realize how close Albania and Greece are. Albania and Greece seem like two completely different countries, but they are right next to each other. You could drive from Albania to Greece very easily. People do every day, right? Anyway, so the point that Dante's kind of spoiled this for me is like, yeah, like look at this. Morocco and Spain are right next to each other. People who are from, you know, people who are from Fez and people who are from Cordoba, like let's look at this, right? Let's see if you can take a car. You can't take a car, right? Oh, you can take a car, right? So if you took a car from Fez to Cordoba, Spain, it would be 10 hours, right? Okay, let's look at this. Cordoba, Spain to Marseille, 14 hours, right? So like I'm not I'm not saying that like Moroccans and Spanish are like more similar than like Spanish and like I'm not saying that Moroccans and Spanish are more similar than Moroccans and French. There are obviously a lot of other dynamics going on as well, but like they are similar. And like the point is you have a lot of lights. You can't hear. Can you hear now? Can you hear now? Can you guys hear now? Can you hear? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Um, I'm gonna end this live and then jump back on. Okay. Um, yeah, no, for the YouTube people, you're still. Yeah, sorry, YouTube people, about that. Um, TikTok's been bugging, and the topic is travel. Honestly, like long term, I really want to move from TikTok to YouTube. I actually prefer YouTube as a medium, but the problem is I just don't have enough people who follow me on YouTube yet to be able to do the lives on YouTube. I also like really want. Wait, really? There's no audio? There's no audio? Is there still no audio? Fucking shit! What the hell happened here? Um, is there still? Yeah, no. YouTube people can hear me well. Okay. Uh, that sucks, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks, Bobby the Goat. I appreciate that. So, as I was telling the YouTube people, and like, I guess if the live just ends for them, I'll just do another half an hour with you guys. But I'm gonna need you guys to ask me a bunch of questions. Basically, like, I do this on TikTok because with TikTok, I just have the most amount of people, the most amount of followers. But the problem is that like I don't like the TikTok platform at all. I really want to like move away from TikTok for like a whole bunch of reasons. So, I guess this is kind of the impetus to do that. But anyway, I appreciate the YouTube people joining. Like the reason why I need to do TikTok is because these people, I have like 50 people on the TikTok live, and so they're the ones who ask most of the questions, and then I just answer them, and you guys get to like enjoy the show. So anyway, let's hope that the audio works now. Um, it should work. Okay. Can you hear me? Can people hear me, please? This would just suck so bad if people just can't hear me. TikTok has been having like a whole bunch of issues. Yo, Mark, can you tell me if you can hear me or not? TikTok has been having a whole bunch of issues. Yeah, I know you guys can hear it from you. Hearing me from the slums of India. Nice. Dude, people love these indie. Okay, we're back. We're back, guys. This is gonna be a 3-hour live, so we have 2 more hours left. YouTube is good. Is That's not an actual Travis Scott? No, that's a fake Travis Scott. Anyway, um, cool. Can I make more videos about the cities you've traveled to, like Asuncion and Santa Cruz? Um, so here's one thing I'll say, and like this is something that's like kind of hard, I think, for a lot of people to kind of concept like wrap their head around. And I sorry, that sounds really condescending. I apologize, but like the percent of videos that I make about certain things versus the amount of videos that you see about that thing are not commensurate with one another. You know what I mean? So like I make a ton of videos about a ton of things that like nobody ever sees. You know what I mean? And the reason is because they're just not engagement stuff, right? So like somebody I have, it's the videos that that I'm kind of famous for, is like where to pick up a Brazilian baddie type video, right? And somebody like told me the other day, it was just like, every one of your videos are like this, and I'm like, no, actually that's like 0.1% of my videos. It's just those are the videos that you end up seeing, because those are the videos that get millions of views, right? So I had a video about Santa Cruz that I put the other day that was literally just me walking around Santa Cruz, but nobody saw it because it just doesn't get play. Now, I mean, the question is like, how can I make videos that are, more interesting, that people want to watch, that are about Asuncion and Santa Cruz? That's a good point, but like, I have no idea. You know what I mean? Um, When am I gonna do another panel? I can do another panel right now. Do you wanna be on a panel? Do you wanna be on a panel? Like we request to join. We can do a panel. Panels are easy for me. Panels are great because, especially when I have like 5 people arguing, I get to just take like 5 minutes off. So, thoughts on the Argentinian economy. I have a general rule that I don't have opinions about foreign governments. That's like a big thing of mine, because I realize, and also I'll get to you in a second. One thing I realized while traveling abroad is that so many people around the world have opinions about American politics, and whether their opinions are correct or not, they're just based on so little information, and so many people around the world who opine about American politics don't know basic facts about America. Like, don't know, like, can't name 5 states. You know what I mean? Can't name 5 cities, right? And so for me, I try to be very humble about my understanding of other countries. And like, do I have an opinion about Millet? I guess, but like, I try not to think about it because, you know, yeah, I can name more than 5 cities in Argentina, obviously, but you know, I don't really understand Argentina in my gut the way that Argentinians do. Anyway, Austin, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Do you have
Just
something burning?
good.
Burning?
I was wanting to know what you what's the number one place you think like the number one destination?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the number one destination for me that I recommend people going to is Vietnam. Vietnam is my favorite place right now, I would
What
say.
about like Latin America?
Um, I mean, so what I would say with Latin, like my general travel advice with Latin America is like, start out, go to the famous places, and then go find a small town or a small city that no one else is really aware of, and make that your home. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, those are the places where you get the best value.
because I've been to Colombia. I went to Cartagena and I thought it fucking sucks. So I left like the same day I arrived there and I went to Medellin. I thought it was a lot better.
Okay.
Just thought the culture was a lot better. The climate was a lot better. The architecture, I thought everything was much better. The prices, there weren't people trying to harass you and stuff. So I was like, yeah, this is the place in Colombia. But I mean, that's the only place I've ever been to is just Cartagena, Medellin. So I was thinking about going to like Ecuador, but I don't really know much about Latin America, to be honest.
Yeah, Ecuador might be a little bit too advanced for you right now. I would go to Rio de Janeiro, to be honest.
I mean, I can speak Spanish pretty good though. My Spanish is pretty conversational, so that's why I was trying to stick to Latin America. In Portuguese, I was trying to learn Portuguese for a while, but it was a little more difficult. It's a little more difficult, like the pronunciation and stuff. I don't know if they can understand Spanish or English in there though. Do they like in outside of tourist parts?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, like, I mean, you've only been to Latin America once, right? Ecuador, I mean, Ecuador is not as dangerous as it was like a year or two ago, but it still is like, it still can be pretty dangerous as a place. And so if you haven't really spent that much time in Latin America, you don't really know how to move in Latin America. I would recommend going to some of the easier locations. The thing about Latin America, right, is that, like, there's a steep learning curve, right? Like, if you mess up, you end up on a t-shirt, right? So I generally think it makes sense to, you know, use the bumpers, go to some of the more well-worn locations, and then, you know, go to like Ecuador or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think I know how to move through Latin America. I think I have a pretty good idea of it, so
I
I'm
mean,
not too worried about like
you've only been
getting
there
in
once
trouble.
though.
I've been there more than like 3 times,
I thought you just
and I
said,
have some experience, so I know what to do and what not to do. If you know what I mean.
yeah. I mean, here's the thing, man. Like, you may think you have experience, like, you don't. To be honest, you don't. um, and like, one of the first, things that you learn is how little experience you have. You know what I mean? But anyway, man. Yo, Philip, are you just gonna breathe loudly, or do you have something to say, man?
Oh my god.
Dude, there's so many weirdos on here, man. So many weirdos. Anyway, Juan Maya, what can I
So, what
do
do
for
you
you?
think's the biggest risk? Like getting held for ransom or something, or what?
I mean, getting killed is a risk.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I did have some questions about, long stay travel in South America. So would you go, I think I watched one of your videos and you mentioned going to some of the more less populated places, not like Buenos Aires, but maybe like Rosario and stuff. So how long would you stay at these places? Like how would you meet people? If you do speak Spanish, which I do, like how do you go about that? Or are you just kind of more reserved to the like not the tourists, but like the what is that called? The like the people that are there that are from other countries,
Expats.
the expat population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, have you like spent a lot of time in Latin America?
Yeah. I mean, I have family in Colombia, so I go there.
Oh, nice.
I've been going there for like
We're in
all my life.
We're in
At least
Colombia.
once or twice a year. Cali, Colombia,
Oh, nice.
which I very much recommend.
Yeah, I want to visit.
Yeah, you should go. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, like, so. I mean, I'm guessing you speak fluent Spanish, right?
Yeah, so I do. Yeah, so.
I'm,
But at the same time, it's different. Like, I don't know anybody over there. Like, for example, Argentina. Like, we'll just take that as an example.
yeah. Why not just go to Colombia?
No, I do. I do go to Colombia often. But it would be cool to experience a different country and a different, vibe and just a different culture.
Go to Mexico, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go to Mexico. Yeah, I used to live in Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, I would just go like, meeting people like meeting people abroad is not that different than meeting people, in your own country, right? Like, when I meet people, I'll like go, to a beach, if there's a beach there, obviously.
Yeah.
If people are playing volleyball, I'll like join a game. I'll go to a bar, I'll just talk to random people and like meet people and make friends and
Yeah.
stuff. Um, I think if that's something that's like kind of hard to do for you, like I think that actually that's like one beautiful thing about traveling is that it kind of, because you're there for a period of time, it kind of puts like a stopwatch on you, right? So like what I would do is like if you have
Yeah.
like an issue with like going up and meeting random people, what I recommend doing is being like, okay, I'm gonna spend a week or a month in Rosario, and then a week or a month in Cordoba, Mendoza, or whatever, right? And I'm going to try to meet as many people as possible in those cities, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna leave, right? And then like if I embarrass myself, if I make an ass out of myself, if people don't like me, whatever, I'm gonna be out of here in a month.
Yeah.
And that feeling of whatever, I'm gonna be out of here in a month really helps initiate a lot of action. I talk to a lot of guys about this because
Yeah.
a lot of guys will talk to me about like, you know, being able to meet girls abroad, but being able to like make a move on them. A lot of guys in America are petrified of like, making a move and getting rejected and stuff, right? And,
Yeah.
and what I tell
Totally.
them is like, look, like this is the beautiful thing about being a passport bro and traveling is like, you know, one of the things that guys always do, when they're scared of getting rejected, is they're like, I shouldn't make a move on her because that will sacrifice my ability to make on a move on her later. This isn't the right time. You know what I mean? Is what guys always say, right? But if you're abroad and you're leaving in a week, there is no other time. Now is the time, right? And so
Yeah.
I think that putting this stopwatch, putting this sort of Damocles over your head, really forces you to initiate a lot of action. So, I think that's a really good way. If those are things that you struggle with, you try to get better at. Moving abroad is a good way
Yeah.
to like force yourself to do that.
Do you like ever stay at hostels and things like that, or you just only meet people? I feel like it's easy to meet people through obviously continuous things that you do. Like if you do like some sort of hobby or your sport, going out as well and stuff like that. But like I feel like hostels is also a good place to like be to meet other people that are like traveling, I guess, or it just kind of gives you like an immediate like
Bro, I feel like the best way to meet people is just to talk to them, bro. There's so many different situations where you can talk to people. Like you just have to learn how to have a conversation. Like whenever I was in Latin America, I would take taxis and Ubers, and I would just talk to them, and they would tell me spots. They would
Yeah,
try to,
I mean, I also like
Yeah.
I think hostels are a good thing as well. So just tell you a little quick story. So when I was in Costa Rica, this was like my third trip abroad. I think when I was in my 20s, me and I went there with a buddy of mine, and him and I were both supposed to be there for 2 weeks, but then he turned into a little crying bitch. Literally the entire time, he was just sitting in our hotel room doing lines and crying about his ex girlfriend that he broke up with 9 months earlier. It was embarrassing. It was honestly an embarrassing experience for me. And so he was supposed to be with me for 2 weeks, and then he like decided to leave after a week. And I was so happy that he left. And so I left our hotel and I got a hotel near a hostel. And I literally just, I saw that they had like a dinner night or whatever. I paid to go to the dinner night. There was like a huge shared table of food, right? And like, people sat down. I just sat down, started drinking, and started having a conversation with people. Ended up meeting this incredible group of
Yeah.
Americans who had a giant mansion nearby, right? Because it's not just people in the hostel who go to the hospital to meet people, it's other people who want to meet people who go, right? And
Yeah.
we ended up having a mansion party in the jungle in Costa Rica until like 5 o'clock in the morning. It was one of the coolest, craziest experiences of my life,
That's
right?
awesome.
And that's literally what you do, just just like going around, right? So like I would just allow yourself to like have whatever experience. Lola, I just accepted you to come up. I think Lola wants to yell at me about something, but
Yeah.
we'll let her yell at me for a little bit. But yeah, no, I personally don't like staying in hostels. I don't think I stayed in a hostel once in my life, but I literally stayed with like my other 10 friends. So it was like basically just like all 10 of us just rented out this hostel. So I've never really stayed in a hostel before. I just like to have my space. Anyway, what's up, Lola?
Yeah.
Hi. Hi. Good evening.
Good evening. What can I help you with?
Okay, so yesterday you were talking about India.
Oh yeah, sure. I guess we can talk about India a little bit. What's up?
So first, I'm from Brazil,
Okay, we're in Brazil.
Rio,
Oh, nice. We're in Rio.
Copacabana.
Were you born and raised in Zona Sul, or did you move there?
I moved there, but like 7 years ago.
Oh, okay, 7 years ago, or when you were 7?
No, 7 years ago.
Where are you from originally?
More like in the north.
Which city?
I don't even know if you know. It's like Meyer.
What city is it
It's
close
like
to?
around Tijuca.
Okay.
Oh no, the city is Rio, but it's like
No.
the north of the city.
Which city are you from? Like you're from north of Rio, and then you moved to Copacabana, is what you're saying.
Wait. It froze.
Okay, does it work now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
I think her phone.
What city were you born in? Is my question.
Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, okay. So you were in another part of Rio, then you moved to Copacabana. Okay, cool,
Yes.
awesome. So what's your issue of what I said about India?
Okay, so like I'm not trying to defend Indians or whatever. Like that's not my thing because I don't really like Indian men.
Okay.
Because I feel like they harass people. I don't like that. But yeah, they were rich before colonialism.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were.
No, they weren't.
If they were rich,
Yeah, they were.
if they were rich
How are
before,
you guys doing today? What's the prompt for today?
so they weren't rich. If they were rich, why did they get colonized by the British so easily?
Because the British used guns. No, they used guns.
How many British
They had
soldiers?
better equipment.
Yeah, so they were more technologically advanced, which is a sign of wealth. No, is not technological advancement wealth? If one person if one person has
It could be, but
if one person has an iPhone and like a Tesla, and another person doesn't have it, uses a rotary phone and drives his horse around, can we not say that the person with the iPhone and the Tesla is richer?
I didn't understand what you said.
Okay, so we have two people, right? One person has an iPhone and drives a Tesla. Another person uses a rotary phone. I'm assuming you know what a rotary phone is, right? I'm not aging myself. I'm 34. I don't know if like people who are younger know, like the old
Yeah.
phone where you do this, right? So person A has a Tesla and an iPhone. Person B has a rotary phone and a horse, right? Is it not fair to say that the person with the iPhone and the Tesla is likely to be way wealthier than the person with the horse and the rotary phone?
I don't know. It depends on how much they have in their bank account.
Well, sure, but like, yes, there are situations where like really rich people are kind of crazy and they don't have a cell phone, right? But like 99.999% of the time, the person with the better technology is the wealthier person, right? Can we not conclude that, right? But
Yeah, but that's like my point is like in India they had better things than in England, for example. They had a bunch of like materials, but the only thing that the
they
British
had raw
that were like
materials.
better was like that they used force.
No. So Indians had raw materials, but raw materials isn't indicative of the advancement of a country, right? Like for example, like Venezuela has a lot of gold, right? But that's just in the ground. You know what I mean? Like it's not it's not indicative of the advancement of a society to just happen to have really nice things in the ground, right? So India had a lot of nice things in the ground. The British had a lot of technology that they used to take the less nice stuff that they had on the ground and make more out of it, right? Like the British were able to travel around the world, right? Were able to conquer the world. And also, I just think it's a very basic question, right? Would you rather be a normal person, a middle class person? Middle class didn't really exist in India, but would you rather be a middle class person in England in the year 1500, or would you rather be a middle class person in India in the year 1500? And I think if you look at any available statistic,
But I said prior to colonialism.
when was
They
India?
had a caste system.
Wait,
the
wait,
caste system was
wait a
was
second.
hard.
When
Caste come from the word casta.
wait, guys, everyone shut up. Lola, what year was India colonized by the British?
I don't have like a.
Wait. So this is actually my big problem, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant about this, right? I constantly have these historical arguments with people who do not know basic facts about the history they're arguing with me about.
Just because I don't know the date, I don't know basic facts.
Lola.
It's a crazy
No.
statement.
Listen, if you and I were arguing about World War II, and you did not
Huh.
know the date that World War II started, I'm sorry.
I don't know the date where World War II started. I know.
You don't know the
more
date
or
that when
less.
World War II started? Did you know the
No.
year?
What do you mean?
What year did World
The
War
year?
II start?
No, I don't know the year, but I know like it was around like the 30s and the.
So
and the 40s.
you don't know basic facts about history. Why are you arguing about history with
That's
me?
crazy. You're not supposed to know like the date. You're supposed to know like the history, not the date.
Lola, the date is
that's
part
crazy.
the date is part of the history.
No, that's your opinion.
It's not my opinion, it's a fact. Lola, I told you, okay, I told you whose life was
So
better.
you think I should just record a bunch of numbers because then you're gonna
Wait,
get us
Lola,
water? That's crazy.
Lola. Here is how off you are. Okay, here's how off you are. I don't think you realize how off and how ignorant you are about this history. Okay, I asked you whose life was better in the year 1500, an average person in India or an average person in England. And you said that's because they were colonized. The year that India was colonized by England was 1757. You were 200. No, Lola. You were 250 years off. Do you know how long 250 years is? America did not exist 250 years ago. That is how off you are with the history of India. You know absolutely nothing about the history of India. How can
I know they were rich. That doesn't take the fact. You're trying to dismiss me.
You don't know that they were rich. You read one article by a propagandist who told you that they were rich. You didn't read any books about India.
A propagandist.
Okay. How about this?
No, it was not. It was on my history book
Okay, cool.
when I was studying.
Awesome. What were the name of the two empires that ruled India before the British took over?
I'm pretty sure it's the Mughali or something.
Juan, I'm asking Lola, not you.
I know, but I just wanted to say.
Okay, so what facts about what facts about Indian history do you actually know? Give me.
I know they were rich.
She's trolling.
Oh.
No, I said that I don't know in English.
Okay, fine. Say it in Portuguese. Give me some facts about Indian Portuguese. I'll translate it, and then we can have a conversation.
You know how to speak Portuguese?
I'll use my Google Translate. Go for it.
Okay.
Here, wait a second. Yeah, I'm arguing with somebody about Indian history who thought India was a colony of England in the year 1500. My God. This. I'm
No,
sorry. This
I
isn't even
was
worth having a
saying-
conversation. You don't know even basic facts about English history. The fact that you think England was colonizing the world in the year 1500 is ridiculous.
I didn't even talk about England. I said colonialism.
What year did English colonialism begin?
I wasn't even talking about England. You don't know that Portugal also colonized India?
What year did I'm talking about England versus India. First of all,
I said colonialism. I said colonialism. I didn't say England.
no, my question for you was whose average life was better? An average person in England or an average person in India in the year 1500?
They have a very different culture, like the middle class in
There was
Like,
never
I
a
don't
middle
know
class
much
in
about
India.
but I know that they have very different. They have very rich people and they have very poor people.
Okay. So you're saying that the Portuguese colonized India in the year 1500. Is that what you're saying? Lola? Is that what you're saying?
No, I didn't say
What,
that. I
what,
said
what year did
before-
Magellan reach Goa? Do you know that?
¿Qué?
En que ano o explorar Magellan?
No. English, please. English.
In
please.
what
I just didn't
year?
understand what you said.
In what year did Magellan reach Goa? Do you know who Magellan is?
I don't know. I don't be like saving years.
Do you know who Magellan is?
Was like a king or something?
You don't know who Magellan is, and you're talking to me about Portuguese
Magellan's
colonialism
an
of
explorer, bro.
India. What are we doing here? You don't have basic facts. Magellan is the guy. You honestly, you could have figured out.
I'm not googling.
You could have figured out who Magellan was just by context cues. I asked, what year did Magellan reach India? And then I asked you, do you know who Magellan is? You could have just said he reached India. He reached India in the year 1522. So even in the year
I
1500,
don't know about British people.
Magellan was Portuguese, Lola. Magellan was Portuguese. It's your
So,
history.
I never heard this name in Portuguese before. Never heard this name
Magellan
in Portuguese before.
was Portuguese. He was a Portuguese explorer. He's one.
This name is not even Portuguese. This name is not even Portuguese.
Magellan was a Portuguese explorer. He's the one. He's a. Okay, here, how about this? I just Googled it for you. Ferdinand Magellan, 1480 to 1521, was a Portuguese explorer, renowned for leading the first expedition to circumvent the Earth, discovering the straight into South America. The first
Can you
European
write his
process-
name? Can you write his name?
Magellan. God damn it.
I never heard this name in Portugal.
Yeah, I know you didn't. You don't know anything about history. Why are you arguing about
No.
history that you don't know about? This is what always happens. I have people coming up to me arguing about
I don't
history.
need to be a history professor to know that they were rich before colonialism.
You need to okay, but you don't need like you're right. You don't need to be a history professor, but not knowing who Ferdinand Magellan is means that you don't know basic facts about history.
No, you're just trying to dismiss what I said by saying like
Do
a
you know
bunch of
nothing
like.
about history?
You don't know anything about history. You have no
I don't
knowledge.
know much about Indian history. Like what?
You don't know anything about
Brazilian. Why am I
Portuguese
supposed to know
history.
a bunch about what am I? Why do I have to know about India?
Because you're arguing with me about India.
I just know that they were rich before.
You confronted him on India. What do you mean? Why do you need to know about India?
You're talking to me about India.
Ask you a question.
I told you she's a troll, bro.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. So like
Wait, can I ask? I was curious. Where did that whole thing spiral from? What did she say about India? What was she trying to argue? I joined in like when you guys were in argument.
yeah, no worries. So basically, just to give everyone like all the backstory about it. Like I made a video a long time ago, basically saying like I didn't like India of the countries I've been to, and since then, Indian people have been just constantly trolling me and constantly just like attacking me for it. So It got like there's this like really bad troll that came on last week, so I decided for India Independence Day yesterday to basically just troll India for 6 hours of my live. Um, Not enough people came on, so it actually wasn't that fun of a live. But she came on and she was arguing with me in the comments, but she didn't actually come on to talk to me about it. So today she wanted to come on and argue about India, and she said that India was richer than England, before, or like was rich before colonialism. So at first I like took her at face value, but then it became very clear to me that she doesn't know basic facts about Indian history, right? And so it's absurd to me. Like if you're making a claim that India was rich before colonialism and you don't know when India was colonized, how can you make that claim? And it's not that she was like a year off, right? Like for example, like I made the World War II analogy. If somebody doesn't know that World War II started in 1939, I don't care about anything they say,
Yep.
right? But like if like for example, for me personally, I confuse it sometimes. Was it September 1st? Was it September 30th? Like that's fine in my opinion, right? But she was 250 years off. I asked her who was better off in the year 1500. Was it a British, a British person, an average British person, or was it an average Indian person? And she said, well, obviously the British person was because they colonized India. And I was like, England colonized India in 1757, technically 1857, but like really 1757. And so it's like the United States is not 257 years old, right? So she was off by a factor of the entire age of the United States, right? Which to me is just like it's too much to be off by. You know what I mean? Like again, September 1st, September 30th, World War II start. I don't know. I forget it all the time. I think right now I think it's September 1st. I might be wrong, but 257 years off, man. It's just like way too much. Am I wrong, guys, about this? I mean, I know Austin's on my side.
No,
But I'm
no.
like,
I
what
was
do you
having
think?
this conversation with one of my friends too. It's like I think the year does and doesn't matter. I think in the sense where okay, if you think World War II started in 1937, 1939, you're not like exactly right on it. Like I get it. It's important though because if you think World War II started in like the 1700s, then you need to know chronologically where things were, right? So
Yeah,
that's why it matters.
I also like so building off of that, right? Like for me, like it's also a question of the depth of your knowledge, right? Like if we're having a very surface level argument about World War II and you think it started in 1937, it's like okay, we're having a surface level argument, right? But like if we're having an argument about like the Battle of Stalingrad, right? And you think World War II started in 1937, I'm like, well, we're going a little bit too much into the weeds of Stalingrad to. But I do generally agree with your point. But Italo Balbo, is this another Indian, or is this going to turn into an Indian thing? What's
No,
up?
so I was just wondering, like, which city in India do you recommend to go visit? No, I'm playing. I'm playing. I was actually gonna ask about. I know you're not a fan of Europe, but for like a solo trip, would you recommend Budapest, Hungary, or somewhere in Poland?
Yeah, so someone asked me about this earlier, and I was promoting my Substack, but I'm just going to answer this question now. What I recommend doing, first of all, Eastern Europe, definitely. Eastern Europe is a lot safer than Western Europe right now. Which, as a Polish person who spent a lot of my childhood in Poland, is a insane thing to say. My grandma is 93 years old. I told her that Poland is safer than France. She doesn't believe me, because she doesn't leave the house. But I definitely recommend Eastern Europe, but what I really recommend doing in Eastern Europe is even so, don't really spend too much time in the cities. The cities in Europe really suck, even in Eastern Europe. What I recommend doing, and this is what me and my wife did when we were staying in Poland, is we literally just went to the train station and we just picked a random town and we just went there. And on the way there, we rented the Airbnb, and I think you're gonna have a lot more fun doing that than you're gonna have being in Krakow or being in Budapest. I actually really like Budapest. I was there last like 15 years ago, so it's probably changed a lot, but that's my general recommendation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, And even if I was just gonna visit a city in Poland, would you recommend Gdansk or Krakow?
It depends on when. If you're visiting in the winter, definitely don't go to Gdańsk. But Krakow also generally don't visit Poland in the winter. It depends on what you want. Gdańsk is like a really interesting city because it has a lot of German history to it. It used to be called Danzig. Actually, ironically enough, Mikey, Gdańsk is literally what World War II was started over, right? And so it's not really like it is a Polish city, but it's not like as Polish as Krakow. Krakow is like the the Polish city. You know what I mean? It's our historic capital. The trumpeter of Krakow got shot there. That's like a really important story in Polish history. For people who don't know, every day in Poland at 12 o'clock, the radio stops and they have like a trumpet for like 5 seconds or whatever to honor this guy who was literally killed in the 1300s. But we honor him every single day. But yeah, so I don't know. That's kind of a wishy-washy answer, but
Wait, Paulie, sorry, I did want to confirm tangentially. You mentioned you're married. I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm married.
Dude, you're just sharing all this ball knowledge to the world. Well, dude, you are a hero.
He's doing this for the boys.
Bro, yeah. Oh my God, this is the definition. Not all heroes wear capes, man. No wonder.
Yeah, man. I mean,
I just have to.
yeah,
I just
go
have to
ahead, bro.
respond to this lady in the comments. She for some reason she thinks like India, Africa, like every third world shithole was like Wakanda before the Europeans colonized. Like that couldn't be further from the truth. You were all shitholes before the Europeans took over.
And
they were only good when they were only good whenever they were colonized.
Yeah, even if you go to India, like they'll literally say, like, I wish the English were still here to rule us.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the important thing about actually knowing history, right? Is because there are a lot of people who think they know history, and literally what they do is they just read articles from like the Atlantic that's like liberal propaganda, right? Or like I mean, there are people who just read conservative propaganda too, right? I'm not going to just say it's a liberal thing, right? But and that's why like you need to actually know the history. You need to actually read the books. You need to actually and like yes, you're right. Like you don't need to know all of the dates, but like if you've read 10 books about World War II, they will mention the year 1939 enough that it will stick with you. You know what I mean? Like it becomes a basic fact that you need to know in order to learn the other stuff on top of that. Which is why if you don't have those basic facts, it's like you can't really have a conversation with people about shit because it's like you literally were. I'm sorry to harp on this. You're 257 years off. Anyway, sorry.
Yes, he's a troll.
Oh, so
I have a question.
Do you mind if I just answer one question in the comments first? Yeah, I see it, Mikey. Appreciate you joining, man. So in the 1300s, most cities in Europe, they had a trumpeter on the top of a church, and basically his job was if there's an enemy army approaching, you blow the trumpet, and then the walls close and everyone gets saved, right? So there was this guy who was the trumpeter of Krakow, and when the Mongolian army approached, this is how crazy Polish history is. Is literally everybody is trying to conquer us. Like China was trying to conquer us at one point. The Mongolian army approached, and the trumpeter of Krakow was like blowing his trumpet to warn people, and he got shot through the neck with an arrow, and he died. But because of that, they were able to seal off the gates and basically save Krakow and save Poland, right? So he died. He was like a 12-year-old kid, but his sacrifice helped save Poland for the next like few hundred years. So that's why people honor him. But yeah, someone had a question?
Yeah. I'm asking a question about like where can I find Latinas in South Korea because I've been there for like almost a decade.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. Why would you look for Latinas in South Korea? Why don't you just look for them in Latin America?
Because I heard this, like South Korea has a bunch of other culture in there. Because when I lived there, it just had so many things in one little small area. But living there, I majority of my life down south, like Busan or like the big parties down south, not like up north where Seoul is.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you lived in South Korea for a decade, you know a lot more than I do. I spent a month there. It was a nice month, but I have a very basic knowledge of South Korea. I don't really know. I don't really know that much. I'm sorry. I can't really answer that
Okay.
question. But if you had places to get Latinas in Latin America, I could help you with that. But
Okay. Like, what's like the best area, like a good one, like a good one that's good looking, like the
the
perfect ratio.
the best areas to pick up women in Latin America are what I call second tier cities. These are not Buenos Aires, not Rio de Janeiro, not Sao Paulo. You want to go to like the smaller places. So like in Argentina, Mendoza, you know, uh, Roger can give you a lot more information about Argentina than I can, but like Asuncion, Santa Cruz, Bolivia. I think Bolivian girls aren't that attractive, but Lima, Peru, like these types of cities. You don't want to go to like the famous places because you know
They're all gold diggers.
where do I find black girls in North Finland? What's up, Sosa? What can I help you with?
How you doing, bro? I just want to know how you've been traveling so much. How do you know so much about everything? I love watching your videos, man. It's always intrigued me.
Honestly, I've never left my mom's basement. I'm just lying about everything. No, I'm just fucking with you. No, yeah, man, I've been just traveling for the past 3 years. Just became a digital nomad, and like once you can earn income online, it's actually a lot cheaper than living in the United States. I mean, it's honestly like one of the.
You said you worked. You said you work remote in IT.
So I used to work in sales. Now I'm a full-time content creator. So, I'm at 90,000 followers. I just made it. No, I just got to 90,000 over Instagram and TikTok. I'm really pumped about that. But yeah, before that I was doing like sales stuff, which kind of sucked, but that's life. I feel like I'm in enemy territory. Anyway, anyone, and any other questions or? Yo, thanks a lot, Danny. Yo, Danny, is this the Danny Lee that I know, or is this another Danny Lee? That's my question. Because I know a Danny Lee, but I could not see Danny Lee joining my live because he knows about everything, but he doesn't know that India was rich prior to colonialism. Lola, you don't know basic facts. You just read an article that said that India was rich prior to colonialism, but you don't even know when was prior to colonialism. So how can you know? You don't know when colonialism began, so how can you know the state of India before that? You know what I mean?
Why is she even triggered by that so much? You still going on about that?
So here's the thing, right? She's from this area called Zona Sul in Rio de Janeiro. This is one of the reasons why I always ask these types of questions. Zona Sul in Rio de Janeiro is basically just like America. You know what I mean? It's basically America. Like Zona Sul is where all of the really rich girls live. All the really rich people live. It's one of the richest areas in Brazil. And so you have a lot of like leftist indoctrination, as you do in most like really, really hard, really rich places. In fact, like Zona Sul is basically, the English equivalent of it is like Beverly Hills, basically, right? And so yeah, so like the Brazilian people from those areas are basically, they're basically American girls. You don't want to date a woman from Zona Sul. So the fact that she said, don't call me American, that's offensive to me, is literally the most rich white girl thing to say. You know what I mean? That's the type of thing that like a girl from the Upper West Side in New York City would say. Does anyone have my back on? Anyone know rich white girls from the West Side? Like that's
like it's a
typically
privilege to be from America. Like there's plenty of Brazilians that would want to come here. So
You gotta pump it up those kind of girls.
Yeah. K Steele, what can I do for you? So like right now, I love while K Steel is joining. Right now, I love Da Nang. You know, here's the thing: they're different strokes for different folks. People like different shit, right? For me, like I love Da Nang because it has a beautiful beach. It's cheap as shit. Everything functions well and is like nice. So it's just like a dope place to post up. I had someone the other day. It was just like Danang sucks. Go to Hoi An, and it's like, well, he told me that Danang sucks, and then we had like an argument about it. And then after like 5 minutes, he was just like, well, Hoi An is way better. And for people who don't know, Hoi An is basically Hoi An to Danang is like Berkeley to San Francisco, right? I was like, okay, man, like live in Hoi An, that's fine. Like when I refer to Da Nang, I'm referring to the general area. But Da Nang is basically just like it's kind of a manufactured city on a beach that's just really cheap. So okay, I'm gonna let Lola back on.
Hello, can you hear me?
Zenji wants to know if you're a baddie or not.
I don't know what that means.
He wants to know if you're hot.
Well, but then I don't think I can answer that.
Okay. What's up?
I feel like people in Rio like are leftists. Like you're saying, like I don't understand what you said about me being white. That's crazy.
What do you mean? I'm just saying that like Zona Sul is like a really wealthy part of Rio de Janeiro, and it's and
Yeah,
well,
I'm upper middle class, but
wealthy people like social liberalism is a status symbol, right? Like so that's all I was saying, right? Like you go to wealthy places in South America, they're like they're talking to you about all of, like the social justice bullshit that you hear in the United States, right? It's like same thing in the United States. Like you hear all this stuff in like New York and LA and San Francisco, and it's the same type of shit, right?
Most of my American friends are from New York.
I you didn't have to tell me that. I knew that.
That was obvious right there.
Trust me, I knew that.
Yeah, but I feel like you're stereotyping me though.
So yes, I'm stereotyping you, but all my stereotypes so far have been correct. So until my stereotypes are wrong, like we're just gonna keep on doing that, if that's okay.
No, but it's because like I feel like that's more like on the younger side. I don't think like the older people are like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like young people are typically much more liberal than old people, but I noticed that you were
Yeah,
young,
like
so
my
that's part of the
family's
stereotype.
conservative.
No, I know that. I'm aware. but like I'm talking about you here, right? And like I could tell that you're young, so I fit that stereotype, right? So I mean, look, here's the thing. Like I kind of got these stereotypes very very well. You got to at least admit that. I might be stereotyping, but I kind of like hit the nail on the head. Can you at least give me
No,
that?
but it's because like you said that I don't hate America. Like when I said don't call me American is more because like when I think about an American person,
It's
I
no,
don't.
I know it's the whole thing, right? Like us as Americans, we hear this from rich white women from New York City all the time. This is nothing new to us, right? Like, right, Roger? Roger's a
That's
good old boy
why
from the
I
South.
left.
He hears this. He hears this all the time. Like our
So-
elections in the
But
United
we're
States.
so different though. Like I feel like I'm very different from someone that is from America.
The reason why we pick girls like you instead of American women is because Latinas cook, clean, handle business, and shut up.
Wait.
people. No, I'm not-
But here's a larger point that I'll make, Lola, is that like America and Brazil are not, as you know, are not these homogenous places, right? So like, yes, you you are much more similar to a rich white girl from the Upper West Side of New York City than you are from a working class person in Fortaleza. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Like just an example. So my ex was American.
I know that.
Of course he
and
was.
he wanted me to go to America, right? And I was like, I was like,
Rookie
no, I
mistake.
don't really want to go there
Yeah, 100%. And do what's funny? I
because
know
my life would be worse there.
I know a lot of girls exactly like that. You know, my friend married a girl actually from the UK who had a similar perspective, but UK is like, you know, a third world country right now.
I would
It's-
also not live in the UK.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, we are our stereotypes. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we're a product of our environments. I mean, you seem, besides just being completely wrong about India, you seem to be a very happy person. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with the life you live. I'm just, you
I'm
know,
happy because I don't know all the facts of India.
no, that wasn't an insult. I was saying,
No. I said I'm happy because I don't worry.
oh,
about
okay,
the
yeah.
facts.
Well, I mean, just learning about India is depressing. You know, I just have, you know, huge psychological
Being
issues. I
around
guess.
Being around Indians is depressing.
Do you know what's funny? So on a general point about India, people like I've been accused a lot by Indians of being ignorant about India, and they're saying like you don't like India because of ignorance, and I find that really funny because actually, when I was very ignorant about India, I actually really liked India. When all I knew about India was a poo from The Simpsons, Indian food, and the book Siddhartha by Herman Hesse, I was like, India is the greatest place on planet Earth. And then, like, literally every single fact that I learned about it makes me dislike it more. So
I like Indian Americans usually. I think they're cool.
No, that's a interesting thought.
Anyway, Manny, how's it
I
going,
don't
bro?
want to get yours.
I think they're cool. They're like, I don't know. They're usually like more on the liberal side.
I seen one poop in the street one time in Austin, Texas.
Well, maybe that's because you know like the really poor ones, no?
You don't get to come here by being poor as a foreigner unless you scam.
Hello. How are you guys?
I think there are many poor Indians everywhere.
Yeah, that's for sure.
There's poor people everywhere.
Well, specifically India. India is extremely poor by any standard.
No, but the ones that I met, they are like richer, so I think that's why they're cooler.
Yeah, but like
Because
here's
the ones
here's my huge problem with that though, right? Is that the reason why India is such a shitty place isn't because of the poor people. It's because of the rich people. Right? The rich people are the ones who have had power in India for hundreds of years, and they're the ones through their selfish behavior that have turned India into the shithole that it is. Right? So
Yeah, someone said this like they are the richest people in America, and I think that's kind of true.
no,
Together with the Jewish.
but this is the difference between America and India, and this is the difference between Catholicism and Christianity and Hinduism, right? Is that in Hinduism, if you are poor, it is because you are an evil person. That is the actual belief of Hinduism, is because you've been an evil person in your past life and you're being punished for it, right? In Christianity, yes, people are not perfect Christians, and there's a huge problem of people not doing what they should do, right? But Christian society is based upon the idea that, Matthew 18:19, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich person to get into heaven, right? Jesus Christ, all he talked about was helping the poor, right? It's the reason why in Christian societies we care so much about helping the poor people in our society. We care so much about helping everybody else. And I know that from a prism of only viewing things from the perspective of living in America, it's easy to be like, oh, our rich people are so terrible. But you look at the way that rich people treat poor people in Africa, in India, in other parts of Asia, it is completely different, right? And so this is actually my fundamental objection. And this is the reason why I talk so much about India, is because my fundamental objection is I do not want that mentality to come to America. And so a lot of Indians are like, well, it's the rich Indians who are coming. We're the cool ones. We're not the ones who shit in the streets. I'm like, that's my problem, is that you're going to come into America and you're going to infect America with the same way of thinking of fuck poor people, only helping rich people. You know, we're gonna treat poor people like they're our slaves. And I don't want that. I don't want our society to be
I
like
don't think
that.
that's the problem. I don't think that's the problem.
May I say
I
something,
think
please?
the mentality came from the British.
I think it's right that the rich ones are the half white
Yo.
ones, because remember the ancient Scythians went to northern India. I think it's right for the half white ones to control the animals.
Okay,
It
well,
is
Bro.
mentality is the idea.
Hey,
from the
Paulie.
British.
that
Paulie, I'm loving your content now, bro. I don't know
I
if you remember me. I knew that it was always gonna. I love your content now, bro. Don't take your foot off their neck, bro.
I appreciate that. I just want to say, like, I don't like people referring to other human beings as animals. That's why I disconnected him. Like I just want to be clear about this because like I constantly get accused of this, and then there are people who like support me on this. Like, I do not believe that any group of people are racially superior or inferior to other groups of people. I don't think that Indian people are racially inferior. I don't think that any of them are.
Amen.
I think it's a cultural
Agreed.
issue that I object to. Right. So I don't like people referring to Indians as animals. I don't like that. Anyway, sorry. I appreciate that done. We're getting you know, we're figuring this all out. But I think
I agree with you, but I thought you were racist.
how
What
am
does
I
that word mean?
how am I
I'm
being
saying,
racist?
Paulie, they just use that word. What does that mean?
Yeah, how am I being
Every
racist, Lola?
country, when we as Americans
Why are
travel
you
to every,
screaming? Why are you screaming?
because I know that you're a third worlder, and I think that's how you
What?
people talk.
No, I don't
You're-
speak like that.
Where were your
can you
grandparents
please talk?
born?
I'm not gonna answer.
Like I said, you're a foreigner, and Americans talking.
Holy
I'm
shit,
not
the
gonna
crazy
Yeah,
shit
I'm
is
sure.
happening.
Let me just let you know. I don't know if you're aware of that. I don't know if you're aware of this
No,
country
I don't.
called
I'm not
America.
gonna answer.
Well, it's
I'm
where
not
most of
gonna
your people
answer.
are trying to get into.
I'm not gonna
That's some
answer.
excitement, huh?
Okay,
Saying
let's
that's where most of your people are trying to go.
let's tone down the rhetoric a little bit. Lola, what did you mean by calling me racist?
I didn't call you racist. I said I agree with you, but I thought you were racist.
Oh,
You can
so
call me that. They just love using that word because they know that people bow to them when they use that word.
You
Whatever
don't even
third-
know
whatever
me. Like,
third
why are
world
you talking
country-
we?
Whatever.
them?
You're not
Like-
American. Your bloodline is
So?
weak, and you've been colonized.
well, I mean,
Okay.
I
Actually,
don't.
my ancestors were the colonizers, but it's
No,
okay.
you're not. No, you're not. I can tell by how you speak. I can tell by the diction in your voice. Yeah.
Done.
Okay. Anyway, so you were saying you thought I was racist, but you don't think I'm racist now? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Maybe just say one thing right here, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
This ignorant. Which one is a lot worse? Because when you're ignorant, it seems like you're less educated, and I blame your parents for not giving you the right education.
Not just ignorant, but also arrogant. Let's not forget that.
Right. I also say that. I think ignorance is a lot worse than being racist because we totally never got educated for by any means. What do you think of that? What's your thought?
I mean, I think yeah, I'm kind of confused too. I mean, you know, my antipathy towards India is born out of a lot of knowledge. Like I'm not as Lola kind of learned. You got to admit, Lola. At least I do know a lot about India, right? So you know, it's born out of a lot of knowledge, and I think that people have, you know, liberals have this notion that if we just learn more about each other, that we would find that we're all the same people. But they have that notion because they actually don't really engage with other people, right? If you're a rich white liberal on the Upper West Side, you don't really engage with Colombians. You engage with the richest Colombians. And rich people everywhere in the world are basically the same, right? And so I think that like the people who think that cultural apprehension is born out of ignorance, they are actually the ignorant ones. Does that make sense?
Being ignorant is the poorest thing you can ever inherit, by all means, because of the fact that you were injected by negativities from your past, from your ancestors, and you never took a chance to educate.
I don't really
Can I
know.
say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to say, just to touch back on everyone's point on and a rhetoric that I feel that we should all truly embody is to acknowledge our differences, but not allow our differences to make us indifferent. You know, in that sense.
I don't know what that means. Dun, go off on him.
I'm so confused right now.
Dun,
Okay, so
that's my attack dog.
Acknowledge our differences. So we all come from different cultures, beliefs, values, and morals. Like we all come from different cultures and backgrounds. Period. So I think that all of us, to some degree, we have to be able to acknowledge each other's differences, whether I'm Christian, Muslim, Hindu, etc. You know, so we have to be able to acknowledge it, but not allow our differences to make us indifferent. So, as in, to be able to acknowledge our differences and to be in a symbiotic relationship. However, to not ostracize others for having a different way of believing or viewing things.
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned about India? I'm just curious, since from what I understand in my limited knowledge of them, they don't necessarily get along with Pakistanis. They have a caste system in their country. I think their cows are treated as sacred. And then I thought isn't there like a worship of rats among some groups? That's all that I know about them.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I think that like the main issues in India come from the caste system, right? Where like as I was kind of mentioning earlier, right? Like the one of the fundamental aspects of Hinduism is the idea of like good deeds in this life bring you to the next caste, right? Caste is like in reincarnation stepping stone to getting towards like their end state, right? And so they believe that rich people are necessarily not just richer, but like more spiritually pure, better people than poor people, right? And so because of that, they absolutely step on the throat of any person below them, right? And that is what the reason.
Don't some Christians think like that too?
So there is a strain of Protestantism that does have that. I personally don't consider Protestants to be Christians, so my response would be no.
Okay.
But like,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
a Catholic.
They do kind of believe that, but they do it in a different way, right? So the Protestant belief of that is more of like, I want to be successful because that shows that God is like favorable upon me, right? But still, as part of Christianity, you really, if you read the Bible, you cannot get away from it without thinking that you have to help some poor people, right? It's very hard if you're actually reading the Bible to not walk away with that belief, right? Versus like Hinduism, because of the fact that like the untouchables, all these people are literally below you in the reincarnation line because they have been evil in their past lives, right? That justifies any and all behavior towards those people, right? Like that poor person on the street. This kind of difference between the mentality, right? A Christian views a poor person on the street begging, and we see Jesus in that person, right? That's like we're constantly told to see that, right? A Hindu person sees a poor person begging on the street, and they see, oh, that guy's was probably Hitler in his past life. You know what I mean? Like, would you really give food to Hitler? Sorry, continue.
What? Sorry.
So no. But what I'm saying is a Hindu sees that poor person and sees him as reincarnated Hitler, right? Or a reincarnated Nazi, or reincarnated Klan person.
I think he would be reborn as like an animal or something. He would not even be as like a human.
Sure, I'm just like kind of making an example here, right? But like my point is that like that's the big difference, right? And this is a huge problem that I have when people kind of talk about Islam as well. And I'm going to make this kind of analogy, right? Where people will constantly talk about Islam being like a religion of peace because like all these like peaceful Muslims, and there may or may not be peaceful Muslims. I don't want to get into that whole question, right? The question is like, what types of activities do you engage in if you follow the book as strictly as possible, right? And so if you are a Christian and literally you decide, I'm going to take the New Testament and follow this book to the T, right? You're going to end up taking a vow of poverty and spending all of your time giving your money to poor people, right? That is what's in there. I read the Bible half an hour every single day. I promise you, we can go through it. That's what's in there, right? You go read the Quran, you're blowing up buildings, right? You are a Hindu.
I don't know. I never read the Quran.
It's a really, really bad book. But I don't want to. I'm afraid I'll get like, you know, flagged or something if I talk too much about Islam. But yeah, no, I mean, you know, I mean, you just look at the difference between the life of Muhammad and the life of Jesus, right? Jesus died on a cross. Literally, when he was being arrested, Peter like put up a club in order to defend him, and Jesus said, "Put down your club. I'm gonna go die for your sins." Muhammad was a conqueror. He killed tens of thousands of people, right? Like, what are we talking about here? Right? Does that make sense? Or am I taking crazy pills here?
But some people in the Bible also have killed people.
Yeah, but Matthew 18:4, Jesus says that the Old Testament laws were there because the people's hearts were hard, right? And Jesus is coming with the new law to tell you the way to actually act and behave, right? So like Jesus tells you pretty explicitly to ignore a lot of stuff in the Old Testament, right?
Hey,
Yeah, what's
could
up?
I butt in a bit here?
Go.
Just to go into that point a bit further, I saw in Matthew 5:17, he said, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets of previous, but to fulfill them," which can be interpreted differently to say that a lot of Old Testament stuff that he doesn't directly rule out, it kind of still applicable. Like, and you said earlier that Muhammad is an example of a negative prophet, which I would agree, but there are some things in like earlier Christianity that can be taken as hyper negative, and it's not exactly completely condemned by Jesus himself.
So I mean, like there's a lot of conversations we can have about that specific verse. The way that I always interpreted it as is that he was being accused of by the Pharisees of like creating a completely separate religion. And what he is saying is like, no, I am still within the bounds of Judaism. I am just fulfilling the prophecies, you know, that have come before me. That's one of the reasons why Matthew is structured the way that it is. If you read about like some of the scholarship of Matthew is specifically structured in order to show him fulfilling all these prophecies, because that was very important to readers in the first century, right? The way I'm not a Bible scholar by any means. The way that a lot of people talk about it is that there are three main types of law. There's the moral law, there's a ceremonial law, and then there's like specific living law. I forgot what it was called. And that Jesus basically said, you know, we're going to disregard the ceremonial law, we're going to disregard the other type of law, but we're going to still have the general moral laws that we had before. But Weezy, you said you had something about this. But wait, are people interested in this conversation about Christianity, or are people not interested? If people are not interested, we can just talk about Thailand. But
I think Lola has a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, but it's not related to that.
Okay.
Can we change subjects just a little bit?
I think Weezy had something that he wanted to say. Like, is this on topic?
So then he says, and then I talk.
Go ahead.
I kind of forgot. It should come back in a bit. Lola, you got.
Okay.
So one thing, you said that I said that I'm like against Americans, but I'm not against Americans. Like in my social group and all, like I have European friends, and I was about to ask you that. Like they were talking bad about Americans, and okay, like it's fine, everyone talks bad about Americans, but then they were like over a little bit because they were like talking like, oh, they are all bad, you know, like they're all awful fat and ruthless. And I was like, I think they're nice. And like they were kind of very against me because I said that you guys were nice. And like, do you know why that happens?
Yeah, so I have a theory about it. I just want to say, I think, you know, this happens sometimes in my lives. Lola came on here all guns a blazing. Now I think she's on our team. I think we made a fan out of Lola. So everyone give each other a round of applause here. No, I mean, to be honest, like I think that I think
Good job, guys.
I think that Europeans are just salty. You know what I mean? Like Europe is a third world shithole. In 30 years.
Come on, don't say it like that.
No,
Cool.
honestly, like Europe, if you look at GDP per capita, Europe has not grown at all in the past 15 years. France, Italy, Spain are all poorer than they were in the year 2008. Germany is 5% richer. And now I don't believe that GDP growth is everything, but it is something, right? And so Europe used to be the center of the world, right? And if you're a European, you literally spend all of your time around these monuments of these great men that did these great things. And then you're looking at what your country's doing, and literally France right now is begging for money from China. The European Union just signed a trade deal to get investment from
Are you
India.
sure about that though? Like, are you sure about that?
He's right. He's
It's
right.
like
I
France
agree with him.
just gave
agree
us
with him
like
100%.
billions of euros. So I'm confused.
What do you mean?
They gave it to Brazil, like Macron. They gave it like billions to Brazil.
I didn't see that. I mean, I can go like try to read about
That's
it.
why
but,
I
like,
asked. Are you sure about that?
How is he doing that?
about their GDP growth. I don't want
about they asking money from China.
Macron did that at the WEF like 3 days ago. He had this whole
3
speech.
days ago. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, where he said, we want a trade deal with China. We don't just want, you to sell cheap stuff in our country. We want actual investment. Which, if you think about it, is so fucking embarrassing. It's so embarrassing that he's doing that. Like, imagine going to a French person in the year 1970, which was 50 years ago, not that long ago, and saying in 50 years your country's gonna be begging China for money. Like, that's just so embarrassing. And it's like, so to kind of give like a really bad analogy about this, Lola, but like I think this kind of makes sense to me. I'm from New York. I grew up a New York Knicks fan, right? And the New York Knicks were one of the original basketball teams. We won 2 titles right when the NBA was starting off. We were really good for a long time, but we have been really shitty for a long time also. We just started getting better recently. New York fans have such a chip on our shoulder because of that, because so many of us remember what it was like when we were important, but we're not, or at least like until recently, right? We're just not, right? And that's what it's like being European, right? And so that's the reason why they hate America, is because they look at America and they're like, you're like America is all of the Europeans who are like worthwhile move to America. And by the way, this is just me. Christine Lagarde, the former head of the European Bank, literally said this herself. She said Europe used to have 2 types of people who took risks and people who didn't. And then all the ambitious risk takers went to America. And now Europe doesn't do anything. That was literally the head of the European Bank who said that, right? And so, Europeans have 2 choices. They can either start working 8 hours a day, no longer take 4-month vacations every single year, no longer take 7-hour lunch breaks, or
but I like Europe better than America. Like, because I feel like it's better in like quality of life.
So
America's way of doing it is way better.
Wait, but
I just came back from Vegas.
They
had like Italy, like the Eiffel Tower.
I think you guys work too much.
Wait, but Lola, I'll say this to you. Like, you are right to an extent, right? But if you are like a 15-year-old in high school, right, and there's one person who spends every night out drinking, and there's the other person who's like studying all the time, and you're like, I prefer the person who goes out drinking all the time. It's like, yeah, okay, I get that, but the person who's studying is going to have better.
I used to
do both.
No. I'm just saying that,
I
like,
just drink. I don't even have a job, and I make money. You make money drinking in America.
I'm just saying that, like, statistically, the person, more often than not, the person who's like studious and like is hardworking is more likely to be more successful than the person who like isn't, right? And like that's what we're seeing with America and Europe.
I guess, but do you think that life is all about success?
But yo, isn't this the Indian?
It's
What?
Aren't you Indian?
No, she's
No,
Brazilian.
I'm not.
It's life is so here's the thing, right? Life is not all about success. I agree with that. I moved to Latin America, right? I'm an American. I live in Latin America. I'm married to a Latina. I'm gonna be raising Latino kids in Argentina. I don't believe that life is all about success, right? However, you know, if you don't think that success is at least a little bit important, you're gonna end up not being very successful. And you can and if you like for example, right? If you are like a Rockefeller, do you know who the Rockefellers are? I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah, right. If you're a Rockefeller, right, and your entire family are these titans of industry, and you are a failure, right, or you're just an average person, right, you're gonna have it's gonna weigh on you. It's gonna weigh on you the fact that your great grandfather is one of the most successful people of all time, and you're a bartender. That's going to create psychological damage to you. It really is. It's the reason why so many children of wealth become drug addicts, right? It's not because they can't be normal. It's because being normal in a family that's so successful is seen as a failure, and it causes crippling problems for them. And that's the exact psychological trauma that Europe is going through right now. You have these people whose ancestors created civilization, right? Like, I mean, we can have whatever conversation we want about colonialism, but like they created modern civilization as it exists today. And like, what are these people doing now? They're doing nothing. And so you can lie to yourself about it, you can do whatever you want, but like it's going to really fuck with you after a while. And that's why Europeans have a huge chip on their shoulder. And it's the reason why Latin Americans don't, because Latin Americans have the attitude, and this is why I love Latin America, is because Latin Americans are Europeans without the attitude. Right? Latin Americans have the chill life of Europeans, but they don't have this like anger about the fact that America is, the number one power in the world. Most Latin Americans kind of have this attitude, at least I found, tell me if I'm wrong, of Americans, if it's just like, oh, you decided to spend all your time working so you can have a nicer phone and a nicer house, and you don't want to spend time with your family. I mean, okay, have fun, but I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? And like, that's a much more chill attitude. And that's why I prefer Latin America. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a rant here, but let me know what you think about that.
No, I think you're right, but like, I think that it was like out of nowhere. I was just talking about like how I see, like, I don't know how to identify right away. Now I know, but in the past I didn't know how to identify like an American from like another European.
We're all white to you,
So
huh?
like
now who's stereotyping?
All the same.
Now who's stereotyping?
No, I just like I didn't know.
No, I'm
but
just
now I know
kidding
that
you.
Americans usually they don't dress so well as the European, for
Hey,
example.
that's true.
And the European usually look like they're gay, and Americans no.
That's
she hit the nail on the hammer with that one.
That's true. See, aren't stereotypes fun, Lola? Isn't it fun to stereotype? It's true. It's true.
Why do you guys so dress well, though?
Honestly, I'd rather not dress well than the other thing that you said. But Lola, I might, if it's okay, I might just take this, and I can't post this on my TikTok because I'll get banned in a second.
No, please don't do that. I don't want to be canceled. It's just like I really do have that impression of Europeans. I'm always like, is he gay or is he European?
They're kind of the same thing.
I tend to think the same with Dominicans.
Shots fired about Dominicans.
I don't know many Dominicans.
Is it because of the tight clothing? They wear like their little brother's clothing? Is that one?
Yeah, and like they get their haircuts like super nice.
Europeans are generally better educated about history and core Western ideas. No, they're not. Europeans are not educated.
But they kind of are, though. They kind of are.
I think they have a more worldly view. And the thing about Europe, I know what you're saying. It's more of a museum, but they do have healthcare that's better than US. America pays double the rest of the world, and we have some of the worst results. If you go bankrupt, it's the number 2 reason of American bankruptcy. And if you don't give your house to your kids 5 years before you get sick, the government and the hospitals and whoever can claw back.
Why does Europe have free healthcare?
Because they don't spend on the military like we do.
Okay. Why do they spend on the military?
Because they have NATO and we give them the weapons.
Exactly. So we are paying for Europeans' healthcare. Is that because Europeans are this greater group of people? It's because they're a bunch of welfare queens. The U.S. taxpayer pays for everybody in this world, except for the U.S. taxpayer.
We're gonna
anyway. So yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying why Europe is better standard of living. You don't have the stresses of American healthcare system.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's because it's because we pay for them. You know what I mean? That's why. And hopefully we're not going to be paying for them a lot longer, because if Europe is, not to go into geopolitics, but like, I guess we did enough of it. If Europe is now signing free trade deals with India and China, and they're now, mapping out this third way course, like, okay, you can be a third way all you want, but if you're going to be a third way, why are we defending you? If you're no longer part of our sphere of influence, you don't get American guns anymore. American soldiers are not dying to protect your fucking shithole anymore. Anyway, sorry. Opium guy, what can we do you for?
I got a question about the finances. So if I move to like Europe and I wanted to chill there from America, can I do that? And it's like, do I still got to pay like American taxes?
Yes.
So I can't move out the country and just not pay taxes?
Nope.
No. Even if you renounce your citizenship, you have to pay taxes 5 years after.
That's crazy. I just wouldn't pay it.
Wait, pause. 5 years?
If I don't have American citizenship, I'm not paying anything to America. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, America will kill you over that shit. You better pay them taxes.
They won't kill you, but most countries
They're gonna have to find me first.
Well, yeah, they'll find you easily.
I mean, they just kidnapped the president of Venezuela. I imagine they could get you.
They would not do that for like
I promise you, I work in tax accounting specifically. I promise you underestimate the tax system in the United States.
Yeah, nobody wants to not cooperate with American banks. Otherwise, the government will shut off.
Do you know like the story about I think I forgot his last name, but it's like his name is Eduardo, and he was like a co-partner with Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, for Facebook. He's the one that invested, I believe, like either $20,000 or $200,000 right when they were a startup. And then when he sold his position, it was upwards of like $250 billion. He renounced his citizenship. He didn't pay shit, left. And there's actually a law. I forgot his name.
What?
Well, but there's no.
That's a Brazilian guy.
Yeah. He literally left the States, fled, renounced his state. There's a law literally named after him so that people don't do that shit.
But what law? Like, if you're not American, you're not supposed to pay.
Hold on.
No, you don't pay American taxes.
I
mean, so like, why would you have to pay 5 years after? I'm not.
Yeah, that 5-year thing. Like, do you know any more about that, Zane? You're the one that said that, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I think you have to pay like a 5-year. You have to pay for 5 years. You have to pay like a 5-year penalty or some shit. So they'll like extrapolate what you're gonna make or something like that.
That's ridiculous. Like,
that's extortion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think so.
I actually this is a good segue. So next week, I'm going to have a big announcement on this channel on Tuesday, which is when I move to Cordoba. We're going to do it's going to be the biggest pivot, the biggest change that we've had on this channel yet. But I'm gonna be offering a bunch of different things to help people become permanent digital nomads. And one of them is going to be, I have a friend who's a tax accountant who helps people basically from the West not pay any more taxes on their
So,
foreign
but you
income.
guys pay a bunch of taxes and you guys don't have any return. That's
Exactly.
ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
you guys don't have health care.
Yep.
Hey man, I'm an up and coming tax accountant too. Just graduated in December. You should absolutely put me on with your friend.
Yeah, dude. I'll hit him up.
Easy.
I'll see if he wants some some extra help, someone to come on. We're planning on growing his business like crazy. So I'm gonna be announcing a bunch of different partnerships next week, which I'm really excited about. That's actually Megxit is I'm kind of laying the groundworks of that. But all this will be announced next week. So,
But then all of your money is spent on wars.
I mean, it's not just spent on wars; it's also stolen by Somalians. So, there's also that. Yeah, I mean, like this is why people in America are so angry about a bunch of stuff. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why I don't comment on foreign countries is because like foreigners, I don't think really understand the depth of stuff in America. And so I realized that like because I understand that about America, there's also the depths of stuff that I don't understand about foreign countries. And the amount of corruption that exists in America is insane. So, for example, I lived in California. California spent $20 billion on a train that doesn't exist. They literally spent $20 billion or like $15 billion or spent. Someone look up the actual number on a high speed rail. None of it was built.
But no one got arrested over it?
Nope, nobody got arrested over it. There was just $5 billion in Somali fraud that was discovered in Minnesota. Nobody's gotten arrested over it. So in California, I remember this. I remember this article because this is when I was living in California. From 2018 to like 2020, the government spent $25 billion on homelessness to fight homelessness. And CNN, which is a very left-wing outlet, they did the math on it. They found that if California had literally just bought an apartment for every homeless person, they would have only spent $18 billion. So it's like you spent $25 billion on fighting homelessness and you got worse results than if you would have just gotten an apartment for everybody. And the government came back and they were like, actually, we also have to spend on mental health stuff. It's like, well, that would have left you $7 billion for that. But basically, you have all these NGOs that just steal the money in America. Anyway,
I have a question. So, these are like the two parties.
9 billion in Minnesota.
The two parties are corrupt.
Yeah, everyone's corrupt.
Yeah, and it's 120 billion in California, by the way, and 2/3 of it goes to consultant, environmental study. It goes to everything but a shovel in the ground. A very small fraction goes to the actual physical work. And that's the problem. Like China just says, do it, and it gets done. Here, environmental study, a million things happen before anything real gets done.
I was talking earlier about how I quit software sales for 3 years. I worked at a restaurant because I wanted to prove to myself that I really was going to be a screenwriter and stuff. It was a stupid idea, but we're just moved past it. While I was there, I had a line cook who I was working with who was like a genius. This guy's like a food savant. This guy is like he could be one of the greatest chefs on earth one day, right? And he wanted to open up his own restaurant, but he couldn't do it. And the reason why is because in order to get a liquor license in California, you need to spend like $800,000. It costs $800,000 to get a license to sell liquor in California. And as everyone knows, the way you make money as a restaurant is selling alcohol, right? So like if you're not selling liquor, you're not making money as a restaurant. It's just like I need to find
how much?
$800,000 for a
What if you call something else? What if you don't call liquor? What if you?
No, it's no difference. In New York, it's close to $1 million.
Yeah.
In New York, even taxi cab medallions.
This is for all alcohol?
or just liquor?
For
in all alcohol in California.
yeah, for a restaurant to sell alcohol, they have to pay $1 million in order to get a license.
Get a license, but that you're assuming is you'd even get approved.
Yeah,
Having the money is only step one. So
yeah,
Because here in Brazil, we also have like laws like that, but we change the names.
yeah,
Things.
I mean, it's funny. So like, one thing about me is like I actually I had this consulting firm for a while where like I was helping South American companies, South American tech companies, and so I worked with a bunch of Brazilian companies. It's actually funny because I'll go on these like all hands meetings and they're all speaking Portuguese, and my Portuguese is terrible, and I'm just like, why am I here? I can't understand a fucking word that anyone's saying. But anyway, I one time told all this stuff to like the CEO of the company, and he was like, "Man, I thought Brazil was corrupt. America's just on another level." And it's like, it is. All of your fucking money gets stolen by these people, and you can't really succeed in America, which is the reason why, as a passport bro, I'm telling people to get the fuck out of the country as quickly as possible because the deck's stacked against you. But sorry, Lola, you had something to say?
About what?
I don't know. I feel like I cut you off.
No, I just said that we changed the names of like stuffs so we don't have to pay taxes. Like so, if we have like, oh, you have to pay this, then we change the name of the thing.
Yeah.
Or change the label, the category. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but alcohol is still alcohol, so like they'll get you no matter what. I saw somebody said it was 9 billion in Minnesota. I'm sorry. Like, here's the thing. Like, I'm trying to get these numbers as accurate as possible, but it's like this one's $100 billion stolen. This one's 10 billion.
Like here, we just don't respect laws too. We just don't care.
Yeah.
We think it's easier to sell it, the alcohol, and then pay the fine.
Yeah, that's
but here you go through distributors in America. You don't just get it yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's way different than it is.
It's and it's state by state. It's different. Like Pennsylvania, you can only go to certain places. New Jersey, you have to go through distributors.
You also
some supermarkets can sell, some others can't.
Can't you just buy and say you're not gonna sell it? I don't know.
Well, you're
opening up a bar.
But you don't like. I mean, if you go to the market, you don't have to say it, right?
Well,
you have to you have to disclose it. Otherwise, because here's the thing: the difference between, and with all due respect, the difference between like Peru, Brazil, and America, and any other country is that if you get caught doing bad shit over here, you're fucked. Like whereas down
that's true.
Whereas in our countries,
Lola, also just so you know, all the bars in America.
Hey man, so like I'll unmute you in a second, but like generally speaking, please don't come on and then just like cut people off when they're talking. But anyway, feel free to go ahead, Century King.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Lola, just so you know, every state in America has its own alcohol administration. Like in Texas, they have TABC, the Alcohol and Tobacco Administration, and all of them regularly come in undercover, and every single bottle that you sell in a bar needs to have a registry number on it, and TABC checks that, and if the registry number comes back to a vendor that's not listed within whatever the alcohol administration category is, it's like an automatic $5,000 fine. Yeah. So typically when the average bar in America is selling between $3,000 to $8,000 a day, it's actually so not worth it to pay the fines at all. It's actually if you're not going to be in compliance in America, it's basically makes it completely non-profitable to try to scam the system.
Yeah,
and not just that, but I wanted to go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was saying you have
totally ways. If you're friends with the inspector, sure, but it's rare that they keep the same inspectors very long.
Yeah,
but someone said that doing something wrong in Brazil and doing something wrong in America are two different things, and I agree.
Correct. Just because, so that's what my point was saying. So like I said, I'm Peruvian, and to piggyback on the whole Brazilian thing, like I allegedly, I've gotten in trouble, and I tipped the officer, and we're good to go. Whereas the shit, I can't do that shit in America. Like, I mean, if you're gonna be tipping,
Oh God, no.
Exactly.
I mean, even in Colombia, like, the thing is, like, I own a bar, and they say, oh, to get your permission to be open until 4 a.m., it takes, 3 to 4 months. And then the inspector comes by and he'll say, oh, well, if you'd like to give us a gift or a donation, we'd be happy to expedite the process for you. Like, in America, that would never happen.
Yeah, but like
I mean, it does happen. It very much does happen, but we're talking a lot of money.
But like
a lot.
The problem
It's not like $500. It's thousands and thousands and thousands.
The problem with America, though, is that like it seems as if the system is more above board because you can't bribe people, but actually the people that you end up actually paying bribes to are the lawyers and all of the lobbyists that you have to go in order to go through like the legitimate processes. So you end up having to spend so much money. I actually
100% corruption underneath the shield of legality.
Exactly. I actually used to work in
the lobby system in America is just like legalized corruption.
Yeah, I used to work in lobbying. I worked in lobbying for a little while. It's actually
Bossman.
What's up?
Yo, what do you think about Georgia? Is it a good place to travel to? Republic of Georgia.
Anyway, I don't really like when people come on and just derail the conversation to something else. We're having a conversation about something. Like, am I wrong here? Anyway, Georgia is great. Go to Georgia. You'll have a good time. But anyway, yeah, no. So
it's kind of rude.
Yeah, but like this, the problem with like California is that it's such a bureaucracy that like lawyers create all of these laws in order to make jobs for lawyers, right? Like the reason why these processes are so crazy is because lawyers need work, right? So lawyers become politicians and then they end up writing all of these crazy rules that ends up making more jobs for lawyers. And it's like the rest of us kind of suffer because of it.
I have one thing to say.
What's up?
When I was in America, like I was drinking something like with my parents. And then like when we were going out, I was like, oh, I'm gonna drink my like it was a plastic cup. So it's like, oh, I can just like go out. And then the people in the restaurant were like, no, you cannot do that, like, because you're gonna be fined. And I was like, that's crazy. Like
That's
I felt
called
like
open container laws, and they change state by state. I mean, for instance, in Florida, there is no open container law. You can consume alcohol in the street. You just can't be publicly intoxicated, publicly drunk. But like, for instance, in Boston,
it
Massachusetts,
was in California.
California is a shithole. California is a shithole.
It was in Los
they have
Angeles.
they have the stupidest laws in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, until 5 years ago in California, it was illegal to pump your own gas. So I mean, it's the stupid. They come up with the stupidest things and they say, "Oh, we're trying to create the economy," but no. In the reality, California has the highest taxes pretty much out of any state in America.
It's
and
actually
they have the lowest.
One fun fact about open container laws: it's actually illegal to not have an open container in Louisiana. If you walk around without an open container, you get arrested.
and I thought New Jersey
Doesn't that go in New Orleans also?
Yeah, no, definitely New Orleans. No, dude,
Vegas too.
That's crazy. Did you actually hear Vegas is trying to actually make a closed container law due to the amount of like people getting hit by cars?
Yeah, I mean,
but then in New York, people were smoking weeds in the streets, and I was like, wow, I cannot go out. Yeah, but I cannot go out and drink. Like
in
from
California, you can smoke weed. You can. This is the craziest thing about California. You can smoke weed publicly. You can possess a gram. Listen to this. You can possess a gram of weed or a gram of cocaine, and it's not illegal, right? But every other substance is.
A gram of cocaine where? Because a gram of
In
weed and a
Calif-
gram of cocaine are not the same fucking thing.
No, a
Respectfully.
gram
What
of
is, like,
cocaine
20
in
grams?
California is no longer, it's illegal, but it's not a jailable
It's
offense. It's a finable
decriminalized.
offense.
But
Yeah.
I don't even know how much is a gram of cocaine.
But
It's
like
a-
here's
a car.
like California's a crazy place because they literally decriminalize shoplifting. Like they made it so you can shoplift less than $850, and they were shocked that people were shoplifting. This is actually one of the craziest. This is one of the most mind blowing parts of when I started traveling around the world, because I had just lived in LA for 3 years. Right, I was living in Echo Park, and literally every single store you go to, every single thing is behind glass, right? Because they're free of shoplifters, right?
Yes.
And then I went, first, I was in Colombia, and then I went to Rio de Janeiro, which, as Americans believe is this third world shithole, apparently. And then I was walking around Copacabana, going into pharmacies, and nothing was behind glass. I remember thinking to myself, I was just like, wait a second, how is it that, again, I know it's not, I'm just being facetious here. How is it that this third world shithole, nothing is behind glass, and then the richest city in the richest state, the richest country in the history of the world, you have to ask an attendant in order to buy shaving cream? This is fucking crazy, and it is something that I like to emphasize a lot, which is that in America we have this notion that America is this first world country and the other countries are like second or third world. But because America, and I don't want to get too much into politics, but because we've been importing so many people from the third world, and because we have these crazy laws like legalized shoplifting, in a lot of ways America is way more third world than a lot of quote unquote third world countries.
100%. 100%. I mean, if you take, for instance, now, like, right, so America, now you can go to, what's the name of that really big store where you can buy like anything?
Target or Walmart?
It's like
Costco.
No, it's like a Costco. It's like Price Smart. We
Yeah.
have here in Colombia. So it's actually, I think, the exact same company. But it's crazy, right? So Costco just announced they're going to be selling Nordisk semaglutide, which is like Ozempic, right? For $100, the pills, right? And you don't need a prescription, which is crazy, right? But here's the thing. In Colombia, it's been that way for the last 5 years. Since it was compounded in Colombia, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, Nordisk, which is a company where, works with, it's a medical pharmaceutical company, but their pills are only, certified in, 99% of the world, but not in America because of the FDA, and it's just the largest bowl of crap. And, I was diagnosed with breast cancer 3 years ago. And, I was told that in America, my treatment would cost $500,000, and then I come to Colombia, which I don't know if people know, but it has some of the leading cancer centers in the world. And I got my treatment for $63,000.
Wow.
And everybody was like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Stem cells are harmful, blah. I'm like, how do you mean? Every other country in the world pretty much has stem cell research aside from America. It's just insane.
Also, one more thing. I think that Brazil has like better medicine doctors than America.
I think they have access to better doctors for sure, due to the fact that there aren't I think there's two benefits, for instance, in Latin America when it comes to doctors. The fact that there's less regulations allows for there to be more experimentation and more knowledge to be accumulated, which I definitely think is a benefit. But the problems that I have with Latin American doctors is that the surgery
I said
restrictions.
Brazil. I didn't say like Latin America as a whole. Like I cannot answer.
No, but I
for
mean,
that.
I
I'm
lived
saying
in
Brazil.
Rio. I lived in Rio. I live now in Colombia.
Where do you live in Colombia?
I live in Medellin. I go between Medellin and Bogota.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, for me, it's like, here I know in Rio, it's the same. If you have a doctor's license, you're able to practice a minor surgery. In America, you can't do that. You have to be a specialized surgeon.
I don't know. In Brazil, I don't think that's possible.
It's 100% possible. There's absolutely
I'm not
dentists
sure.
who do. I know for a fact.
Dentists, yes, but dentists are like different than doctors.
No, but I'm saying in terms of let me give you an example. You have a dentist in America, right?
Mhm.
They can only work in the mouth, right? That's all they're allowed to do. In Colombia, and in Brazil, for instance, those doctors can perform minor surgeries like lipopada, like liposuction of the neck, or
Yeah.
some skin tightening and stuff like that.
They can
In
do
America,
Botox and stuff like that.
exactly. In America, they can do Botox, but they have to get a certification. But I mean, like for instance, liposuction would never be allowed in any type in America.
Yeah.
If you told me like my dentist in America is doing neck lipo, like la lipopada, I would say, oh my God, run away. But like here and in Latin America, it's normal because there's the Latin American Board of Administration.
I also trust dentists to do that.
No, me too, because here it's an
also
expectation.
in the United States, like medical boards are such cartels. And I'm not gonna say which group of people are populating most of the medical boards. They're from a country in Asia, but it's such a cartel.
We see. Oh, yeah.
It's such a cartel. It's meant specifically to make healthcare as big as expensive as possible. And like, so I'll tell you this, like, having worked as a lobbyist, I only worked as a lobbyist for like 6 months, but like having worked as a lobbyist, one of the reasons why things are so shitty in America, I think the core of the issue is that you like if you have a law or you have regulations about a field, the companies in that field care a lot about those regulations. Most other people don't really give a shit, right? So the people who are affected by it have this huge economic incentive to make those laws work well for them, right? So
Yeah, because it's all privatized.
exactly. So for example, I worked in government relations for Airbnb, right? For 6 months when I moved to I wasn't officially a lobbyist. It was complicated, but like, our entire strategy on getting good laws passed for Airbnb was like, these people don't have the time to keep on protesting, right? These people have their lives. These people have all their stuff. We're getting paid by a company to do this. Like literally what we used to do is we used to like, if there was a city council meeting about a certain, rule about home sharing, we would just ask them to push it back a month. And then all the protesters in a month would be on the next thing, or at least half of them would be. And then we push it back another month, and then another month. And then 8 months later, all the people who were trying to limit us have completely moved on, and we were still there, and we got the laws written the way that we wanted them to be. And that's the fundamental issue, is that like when it comes to healthcare regulation, for instance, all of the people who were writing healthcare laws are doctors. And so they're writing the laws in order to make as much money as possible for doctors. In America, the most regulated industries are the most expensive industries. There's a graph that I keep on seeing. I wish I can bring it up, but like it's basically like tracking the expenses of stuff in America versus inflation. And like you look at like TVs, computers, all that stuff is getting cheaper. But like healthcare, housing, all these things that involve regulation are getting more expensive because all the people who do it have a huge incentive to get the government to make it as expensive as possible. Which again is why everyone should move to Latin America, because I'll say this about Latinos, and I'm sorry, Lily, you might get angry at me. One of the stereotypes of Latinos I think is true that I really like about Latin America is that Latinos, are not the most industrious people in comparison to America, as we were talking about earlier, which means that they're too lazy to do that shit. You know what I mean?
100%.
They don't give a shit.
I disagree a little bit.
They don't give enough of a shit to make this capitalistic hellscape that we're living in America. You know what I mean? They're just like,
100%.
I'll make a little bit of money and then I'll go home and like drink a beer. You know what I mean? And that's the nice thing about Latin America.
That's why if you look at Latin America, it's like
But it's because I feel like
Brazilians,
Brazilians, we work more hours than Americans.
No, you definitely don't, sweetheart. Nobody in Latin America works. If you look at the national hour work hours, the American work week
Don't you guys
averages,
like work 9 to 5?
sweetheart, the American average is like 63 hours a week now, where the Latin American average is 38.
And also,
okay,
like,
but what about Brazil? I said Brazilians and not Latin America.
Also, like you also have to look at like the intensity of the work. Look,
yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think that like Americans
look.
produce more and
Lola,
Brazilians work more hours.
Here's the thing: if I were to come on this live and say Americans are better dancers than Brazilians, you would laugh me off this live because we all know the general
No,
things
but
that are
what I
true.
mean, what I mean
Americans
is that,
are
like, I
harder
feel like we
workers
work
than
so
Brazilians.
much.
You
I
know what
don't
I mean?
want to work so much.
You shouldn't. You should be at the beach. It's a beautiful beach in Brazil. Go to the beach. You know, it's like
So according to the United Nations statistic reports, the average Brazilian works 28 to 35 hours a week.
If that. If that.
Can you repeat? I didn't listen.
The United Nations work ethic report and our league, like they have this thing that says the national, like, you know, minimum wage and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just dropped off.
Oops.
Sorry,
What did you say?
as of 2024, the average Brazilians were working 28 to 35 hours a week.
But I think that's just like because is what they can count.
That's racist.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think a lot
Many
of
people here don't even work as like a regular work thing, you know. Most
Yeah.
people here are like they're working like as a and I don't know how to say that in English. Entrepreneur or something like that.
Entrepreneur, but the reality of the matter is, if you're not really making money, then are you actually working?
No, they are making money, but what I say is that they don't have like a boss, but they like they deliver stuff. They
my wife is Venezuelan, and she was telling me about like how, you know, because like one of the big like issues in our relationship, I don't say it's an issue, but like just like stuff we argue about is that she thinks I work way too much, and I'm like, well, try to get this content creation thing off the ground. I need to put in some fucking hours in order to do it so that, you know, later on I don't have to do it. Anyway, the whole other thing. But she's like, you know, her dad owned a bakery, and she was like, yeah, you know, he left for work at 9:30 and he came back at 2. And I'm like, that's insane to me as an American.
Hour and a half lunch.
Yeah,
No, but like,
lunch. That's insane to
don't
me
you
as an
agree
American.
that Brazilians work more than other Latinos?
No, absolutely not.
Then some others.
I would
Depends on the
say,
job
I would
too,
say,
though,
I would
doesn't
say Mexicans work the most out of, and mind you, I'm Colombian. You know,
Okay.
I'm Colombian American. I mean, I've been all over. You know,
You guys don't even
to
know
other-
many Brazilians there, anyways.
I do.
What do you mean?
There's a lot of Brazilians.
I lived in Rio de Janeiro. I used to work in the
Yes.
favelas. Like, trust me, I know. Like,
So like, but you saw like the poor people really actually working, right? It's not like the rich people.
Well,
No,
wait,
the majority of what you see is
essentially,
like
give me a
what I
second. I work with a Brazilian company. I literally have a client that's a Brazilian company. I love them. They're great. Every fucking meeting starts 10 minutes late. Every meeting starts 10 minutes late.
Oh yeah, but it's because like 10 minutes for us is not even like being late.
Exactly.
On time is on time.
Exactly.
But
And
that
that's where the
doesn't mean like
difference is.
okay, but then you're just like being radical. I'm saying they work.
I
a
love-
lot. They also.
I
don't.
love how for a Brazilian, showing up to work on time is radical. She literally used the word radical
this is
for,
the thing that I
for
can't stand.
not
For
being
instance,
10 minutes late. That's the word she
I own
used.
a nightclub and a hotel in Colombia, right? And we have a time clock. And before, like, none of my employees had seen a time clock before they started working for me. And so it was crazy because, like, in the first month, you know, in the hotel, we fired probably 23 people, and in the club, we fired 5. And then people were like, what do you mean we're supposed to be? If you say we're going to be here at 9, then, you know, it's going to rain. It's going to, you know, the taxis are, I said, then leave early and get there. No, but that's using my time. I'm not supposed to be for my time. And I said, okay, then you don't need to work for me. It's very simple. You can either work by my rules or you don't have a job with me. It's very simple. And people were like, oh, but you can't do that. I said, actually, I totally can. I said, here's the thing, all of my companies pay more than double the minimum salary. So if you want a job that gets that, then you have to meet the work requirements. So if you can't do that, then you can't work for me. And they're like, oh, there's this, we're going to complain to the labor force. I'm like, you're all independent contractors. So no,
good luck. Like they don't seem to understand.
Yeah, we
like,
have a lot of working laws here.
yeah, I mean, in Colombia, they do also. But the thing is, like, if you hire people as independent contractors, and as long as you list time as one of the reasons for, like, one of their obligations, if they violate it, it's a fireable cause.
But just an example, like in Brazil, if you contract someone as like a independent worker, I don't really think you can charge hours, especially if they go every day. If they go one day, okay, but every day that is like you're just trying to.
Can I just say one more thing again? I just want to reiterate this. I just want to reiterate this. Lola believes that showing up to work less than 10 minutes late is a radical idea.
I say like
so
I
I
feel
can
like
tell you
15
this.
minutes is okay. So 15 minutes.
No, absolutely
wild.
not.
I'm
So
Peruvian,
in
and
in
within
America
5
you have
minutes,
LLC. In Colombia you have SAS, and in Brazil they had the limitada. Now they're trying to change it. But I mean, the thing is, you 100% can actually, if you're an independent contractor, if the person is not there when they're said they're supposed to be there within the contract, which is if you say operating hours, it means whatever the hours are operating. If the people are not there, it is 100% fireable.
I grew up in New York. My family's Eastern European. I was always taught that on time is early, or
early is and on time is late,
and late is you're fired. Like
Yeah, but like things happen, you know. So like, I don't think.
But you're right now just speaking to the work ethic of Brazilians, which is, hey, listen, if we're late, a big deal, you know.
But here's the thing, Lola, with Latinos, again, like I love Latinos. I moved to Latin America, married to a Latina. It happens every day. Something always happens. It happens every day. It's like
every day has traffic, for example.
Then leave earlier.
Plan it accordingly.
Plan accordingly.
Yeah, but like the traffic is different. So like one day it might be like 15 minutes early or 15 minutes later. Anyways,
Lola, have you ever showed up early to work in your life?
I never worked.
So how are you even fit to give an opinion on work if you've never worked?
Hey, facts.
Just because like I know people that work.
No. If you have zero work experience, then please stay out of this conversation.
I study.
Wait. I do have to give. I have to give Lola this. So this is before you guys joined. Lola and I were having an argument about Indian history. And she had no facts, whatever, but I have to give it to you, Lola. You have a lot of gumption. You have a lot of you're just like, look, it doesn't matter.
The mindset of any Latino woman, which is I'm going to argue a point until everybody gets tired and says I'm right, even though I'm wrong.
No, I'm both.
You've met my wife then. No, I'm just kidding. I love my wife.
See, we have a joke in Medellin. The only thing worse than a Colombian woman is a gay Colombian man, because they'll argue twice as much.
No, but coming back to what I was saying, my mom, she used to work in a bank.
Work experience and zero work knowledge. Yes, please tell us more.
My mom used to work in a.
Oh, your mom used to
Brazilian
work,
bank.
and I forget. What's your mom's name, so we have some context?
My mom's age.
No, your mom's name. What's your mom's name?
Why do you want to know my mother's name?
Because if it's not Lola, then it's not relevant. So thank you.
Wow. So you think that experience from someone that is from Brazil that I know personally is not...
Sweetheart, now you're trying to change it to make it about being Brazilian. We're both Latino here, honey. Don't even try that shit with me. And also, just so you know, back to that fact, I'm gay. I will argue this. So you're not... Wait. Not only are you not Latina, now you're self-hating and you're not working, sweetheart. Come on. You're basically a Trump supporter at this point. Just kidding. I'm conservative, so hello. But still, you know...
No, it's just that Brazilians, we don't, most of us, I think that we don't agree that we're Latinos.
Is it because you guys have such a lack of work ethic that you can't respect the Latinos that do have a work ethic? Is that the difference?
Damn.
Oh. Shots are getting fired right now.
We speak Spanish and we speak Portuguese. You guys
Oh, you
like
speak the mixture of French and Spanish.
you
That's
guys
right, I
usually
forgot.
look more like more like indigenous, and we look whiter. So
That's not true at all.
Absolutely not. Considering how close Brazil is to the Amazon versus the other Latin American countries, yes.
So
Also, how about we come up with something original instead of combining two languages to make a new one?
I'm Nativo Americano.
I fucking love you, dog.
Well,
no, I mean, listen.
This
I,
this has
here's
been
the
a
thing,
fun
man.
live, guys. I gotta say.
If I could, this would be me. If I was Lola, I went to apply for a job tomorrow. I have zero work experience. I study. I know absolutely nothing about working, but I know I work better than everybody else. If you ask me to be here at 9, I'll be here at 9:20. And if you try to tell me that goes against my contract, you're wrong.
well, but like that's not what I said at all.
Soza, can you back me up here, bro?
I said it's just not a big deal if you're like 15 minutes late.
If your employer tells you it's a big deal, it's a big deal. Because
Brother,
he's the
like,
one who
how
pays
is
your
that not a
paycheck.
big
Not, you
deal?
don't pay
Like,
his paycheck.
listen, I'm gonna have to agree with him. Like, respectfully, you've never held a job, you don't work. You say 15 minutes is okay to be late. I beg your pardon.
If all my employees were 15 minutes late every single day, it would cost me thousands of dollars.
1,000%. Like, it's one thing if you're like within 5 minutes late. Within
Okay,
5
but like
minutes.
for example, in Brazil, that's like you said 15 minutes late is gonna cost you thousands of dollars. I don't really think there's any job in Brazil unless you're like very, very important. And then
When
that's
you
a
have
very
80
different
employees
thing.
working for you and they're
That's
all
a very
15 minutes
different
late,
thing.
that's hours. That's hours at a time.
And it fucks up
But
the
not everyone
entire
is gonna be 15 minutes late.
But I'm saying the reason if your employer says that you can't be 15 minutes late, it's to prevent loss. See, here's the thing. I also now know you didn't study business or ever own a business, because if you did, you'd understand the importance of time. And if you have owned a business, it hasn't been with more than
I
3
think time
employees.
management is important. I'm just saying that like you also have to take in consideration
All right.
the culture that you're in.
We're getting a little personal. I appreciate it. Mid-Century King, it's been very, very, very fun. I feel like we should move on a little bit. I do agree with you that, obviously, in general, Latin America, people show up very late. I do really appreciate Lola's general gumption to just talk about subjects that she has absolutely no knowledge of. And now that Mikey has joined the chat,
You
Mikey,
don't think I know people in Brazil that work?
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking,
I love how
Lola.
That's the fight.
I'm just
I love
joking,
how
Lola.
That's the baseline for the argument.
Anyway,
I love how that's the rebuttal.
Mikey, what's up, man?
Soza, where are you from? What's your ethnicity?
He's Peruvian.
brother. But I lived in Peru but I lived in America since I was.
But are you Peru black or Peru white?
I'm Peru Chino, so like I'm
okay.
I'm
so you're like mixed.
Chino.
Yeah. Okay. So hey, man, I know you, so I know all about Peru, right? I've never been, right, but I know everything about Peru because I know you.
You know
what?
what?
Anyway.
I lived here 24 years. Like I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway, Mikey just joined. I want to give him a chance to say something.
You never lived there. It's totally different.
I've
That's such
never
a
lived
bad
in Brazil.
argument. That's such a bad argument.
Lola,
I've never
where are
lived
you
in Brazil.
from? So I cannot visit there. Where are you from?
She's in Brazil, and it sounds like a favela somewhere. But
No,
it's okay.
she's from Zona Sul.
I'm from the USA.
Can I just say I'm Lebanese, but I agree with Lola. You have to have some flexibility with the local culture. I understand time is money, but if you're paying an hourly rate or by 15 minutes, you could just dock them. You don't need to kill their livelihood,
I agree to a degree.
Enough coverage. I work regular career. I don't clock in and out. I show up. As long as I'm there for my core hours, my boss doesn't really care as long as the work gets done.
That's different because
Yeah,
you stay when you're meeting your
That's what I
obligations.
was
on the
saying.
industry. It's different depending on the
Yeah, no,
industry.
I
Regardless, but here's one thing that I think that we can all agree on. Regardless of the industry, punctuality is respect. Punctuality is a norm, and it should be respected. It should be followed.
I'm telling
100%.
you that we have like a 15-minute respect, like, because if you
No,
are late,
no.
but you're like
Lola,
15 minutes,
Lola,
then
nobody's
it's kinda okay.
arguing with you that that's not the case in Brazil. The argument is that is indicative of less work ethic, because in America it
No,
is.
because like you didn't let me finish because you keep arguing the same thing over and over. Like you didn't let me finish. Because like
That's right.
Americans usually when the work is done, like the working hours are done, they go home and don't
Absolutely
they don't even.
not.
Yeah, they do.
Absolutely
yeah, they
not,
do.
Lola.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
Okay, I'm sorry, Lola. How long did you live in America? Because I only lived there for
I know
yeah,
many
baby.
Americans.
I only lived there for 22 years. So I mean, I only lived there for 22 years, went to college, maintained 6 jobs, built 3 businesses, and I can tell you that I had employees who would work until 2, 3 a.m. to finish assignments when they were supposed to stop at 5. I can tell you every lawyer in America does not work a 9 to 5 unless they are a partner. I can tell you every college student does not work a 9 to 5. I can tell you every single person
if you're a
who needs to make a
lawyer,
living.
if you're a lawyer in America, until you become a partner, you work 100-hour weeks minimum. If
You don't have a schedule. You work until your work is done.
Yeah, my roommate in San Francisco worked in investment banking. He left every morning at 4:30 a.m. He came back at 11 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday he just had a half day where he left at 10 a.m.
Well,
and then he
just
came
think
back
about
at 4 p.m.
doctors, nurses.
Again, no, hold on. What do you think more like than half of people work more than what their hours say they are? I don't think actually.
Oh, 100%.
More than like 10% more, because like we're not counting like you worked a few extra minutes over.
No, but I mean, look at okay, so let's just go off of this, right? The general statistic is there's about, I think it's 1 nurse for every 100 people in America, right? So that's like 1 in 100, right? The average nurse works 86 hours a week, and they're only paid for 60.
Yeah. Well, so I gotta say, guys, we did 3 hours of this live. I appreciate everybody. We kind of
Paulie, you're really plump. You're plumpy.
Yeah.
You're
At least he
really
has the
plump.
nerve to be on here and talking to people.
Yeah.
Join this.
It's always funny to me when people with anonymous things talk about my weight and talk about my appearance. But anyway, sorry, Mikey, go ahead.
I was gonna say I only joined this live because I think your content is very funny.
Thank man. I appreciate it.
I actually want more information
I
about
can't
this yacht
go
in
to a lot of those
Cartagena.
places just because I don't have the money to visit like a lot of those places. But I do find it very interesting just to think about. I'm like because you give so many very specific details, and I enjoy that specific aspect of your content. That's why I wanted to join. I didn't really know what was going on, but I've seen your stuff a bunch of times, and I really enjoy it. So thank you very much for making videos.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Paulie, how do I find out more about this yacht in Cartagena? I'm going to be there in 2 weeks.
Why don't we do this? Why don't I tell you guys right now as like the final part of this live? So my buddy Colombian Odyssey, who usually joins but he's busy tonight, he's been living in Cartagena since May. He's basically been living the TikTok life that everyone wants to live in Cartagena. That's his yacht. He has a penthouse. And so what we're doing is we're doing a week-long group trip for people who want to go to Cartagena, experience the lifestyle, but have never been to Latin America before. As people on this live can attest to who live in Latin America, if it's your first time going, it can be very dangerous. If you don't know what's up, you don't know what to do, you're not going to be able to find the best stuff. We basically have an entire week tailor-made for you where we're going to be taking you on the yacht. We're going to be doing all these activities. Everything is taken care of. It includes everything except for dinner, drinks, and your flight there. So if you're gonna be there in 2 weeks, this trip is on March 16th to the 22nd.
I'm not looking to do a group trip. I don't do group trips. I just want to rent the boat.
Yeah, 100%. Shoot me a DM. I'll connect you with the guy. He rents it out. And actually, if you have spots in Medellin and Bogota, let's talk about, we're going to be doing group trips in other parts of Colombia in the future. So we might become customers.
My
of
stuff
yours.
caters to LGBTQ. So unless you're doing LGBTQ, don't worry about it.
Okay, never mind then. But yeah, so someone asked will girls be included? Girls are not included, but we, as people who have been to Latin America know, a lot of times girls will rather rip you off. they'll play games with you, or worst case scenario, they'll drug and rob you.
They'll be Lola. That's the worst case scenario. They'll be Lola. Yo, I'm dead.
Why don't you just shut the fuck up?
Because I don't have to, baby. This
You
is
are
the beauty of
ridiculous.
speaking.
You are
I
ridiculous
speak with
and
knowledge and
rude.
education
You-
and work
No,
ethic.
you are just ridiculous and rude. Just shut up.
Anyway,
No, sweetheart, don't take it so personally. It's not a dick.
all of the
Oh,
girls,
yo.
all of the girls that we're connecting you with are pre-vetted. We're gonna make sure that they're not gonna do anything funny, all that stuff. So it's not included, but it's be $12.50. So if you're interested, go to the link in my bio, fill out the form. I'm gonna shoot you a WhatsApp message. For some reason, we can't sell the last spot. We literally sold the first 9 spots in like 5 days. And the last 10th spot has taken like a month to sell. So if any of you are interested, let me know. I'll get you a link and you'll check out and we'll do it. But we'll be back here tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys want to continue this conversation, I'll be doing lives every day this week for 3 hours starting at 10 p.m. Eastern time, or sorry, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, any last
And we should expect to show up at 10 o'clock or 10:15.
Honestly,
Hey,
like
mid-century, I DM'd you, Brody. I DM'd you.
that seems like a good enough spot to end. I appreciate everyone joining. It's been a great live. Talk to y'all later.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
See you 10:15 tomorrow, bro.
10:25, Brody.
10:30.
Thanks everyone for joining on YouTube. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna end this live right now.